tuning in, guys, and appreciate you guys letting us know that everything's okay on that side. So let's go ahead and recap in terms of what we've got going on this week. There's a lot to cover. So we, of course, have brand new updates in terms of course, a new collaboration following up with the ROGxEANGELION based collaboration with the ASUSxDEMONSLAYER collab. We then are also going to be talking about a brand new monitor with the VA329HE, which is a large format 1080p based monitor. It's pretty aggressively priced. We've got some new ZenWiFi networking solutions to be able to touch on. Those you're going to maybe looking at 2.5 gigabit ISP service, looking for super broad coverage, fast speed, tri-band connectivity. This is going to definitely be a solution you're going to be interested in. We've got a brand new ROGstrix 4K high refresh rate HDMI 2.1 monitor, which is actually going to be with the ROGstrix XT12 UQ. We of course have the PC DIY Builder Spotlight. I think we've got like 5 giveaways to talk about today. Plus we'll mix in, of course, a little bit of everything else as we always do here on the ASUS PC DIY stream. So thanks for joining us on today's stream. Let's see who we have us here joining us here. So we've got Julian. Hey, Julian, thanks so much for joining us here on the stream. PGPCs, always fantastic to have you here. Thanks so much. It looks like you're excited for Demon Slayer. John's asking, hey, is there anybody I can talk about getting on a shirt? If you're part of our ASUS PC DIY group, rest assured, we're actually going to have some opportunity for some people to be able to actually win some cool shirts that we're going to be doing. So if you're interested in that, make sure to get in on the group, and it's linked in the description. Erica, as always, thanks so much for joining us, letting know the audio is good. We got Michael overall giving us a woot, and as always, one of the best guys out there, Suman, letting us know that he's here and in attendance. All right, fantastic. So let's get ready to go ahead and kick things off. We've got a lot to talk about. So first and foremost, let me go ahead and just touch on general UEFI updates. There's actually really not too many critical updates that I have to touch on for today. I will probably have a little bit of a post a little bit later on to go ahead and cover this, but just for kind of reference, let's go ahead and touch on this a little bit. So in case you guys are wondering about, generally, I try to do about every week, but sometimes if there's not a lot in the week, I won't have a formalized post in the PC DIY group. But as of right now, there haven't been any kind of large-scale UEFI releases. The last major release update that we had was for Z690 and B660 series-based motherboards, was next-generation Intel CPU series support, along with the latest base code for kind of continued fine-tuning to what's called memory training and memory code for kind of even a further improved DDR5 operating experience. And that is with UEFI base 1600 series. So if you've got something like a Maximus series board, or if you've got a Prime Z690-A, a Pro Art Creator board, a Tough Gaming board, then of course you would want to go ahead and check out those UEFIs. But that's really only if you're maybe building a system. If your system's already up and running and without any issues, there's no need to go ahead and swap out and kind of go to that new UEFI release. Beyond that, no other big updates. Like I said, there'll be a formalized post. There'll be kind of some legacy or what we call ad hoc releases, which might just be for general interoperability compatibility. And those will be posted in the PC DIY group either later today or Monday. So just watch out for that. Okay. All right. Hey, Ricky, giveaways are where we'll be talking about those in a little bit. So generally, if this is the first time joining in the stream, I usually talk about a couple of general kind of introductions, some partner news, and then I usually kind of get into the giveaways. So I will definitely be going over the giveaways, how you can enter in on them, and all the specifics regarding that in a little bit. Okay. So go ahead and just keep it tuned here. All right, so that covers us for our UEFI updates. Let me go ahead and just bring up here some cool partner news that I want to go ahead and touch on. So as you guys know, we've got so many different partners in the industry, and there's always kind of, I think, some cool things that I want to be able to highlight, that may be of interest to you guys out there in terms of the PC DIY community. So let's go ahead and I think take a look at one right here. So give me 1 second. And let me actually load up this page right here. Okay, yeah, cool. All right, so this is going to be, let me see right here. Yep. So first piece of news is our friends over at EK have gone ahead and released actually a lineup of actually gold-plated products. You can see actually right here, this is our ROG Crosshair Extreme board. And so this is one of our X570 series based motherboards. And here you can see that beautiful, just big, nice block that you've got there on there. And of course, right next to that, you of course have some G-Skill Trident Royal Z, and with that little bit of gold. And I've always been a big fan of the black and gold combination. I think it just has a really kind of nice, warm, premium aesthetic to it. And they've got an entire lineup of different, essentially plated accessories that if you're looking to maybe have some flair and really add kind of that next level aesthetic to your water cooled setup, your liquid cooled setup, this is definitely going to be one of interest to you. Let me go ahead and actually bring up, I think, the primary page that shows off, I think, a little bit more of the accessories right here. Yeah, here we go. So I will link this in the chat, but you can see right here, you got everything from, of course, your blocks to, of course, your caps for your pumps and kind of that whole setup right there. So this is all under the all gold plated EK products. And of course, that's part of the Velocity 2 line. And of course, this is going to be a fantastic option for both Intel and AMD based platforms. So it doesn't matter whether you're going to be building something like on the socket 1700 side or you're building on socket AM4, either one of those, you're going to be able to get covered in terms of that regard. So pretty cool in terms of the overall kind of just design aesthetic. Definitely something a little bit different. A lot of times in terms of water cooling, your base hardware is usually going to be black, silver, maybe kind of gray. But to be able to kind of see, I think, a little bit of a different color, especially with this gold, I think is pretty cool. And it's really going to match the aesthetic of all the components because most components you pretty much can get them in black. So I think that's a great combination with that black and gold aesthetic. All right, let me go ahead and drop that in the chat right there. And we'll go get good to go. Michael's giving a little bit of heads up. He says, gorgeous. HO Computer says, yummy EK goods, right? Pidgey PCs is the gold looks good, right? Hey, Connor, happy to have you here, man. Thanks so much for joining us here on the stream. So here we're going to go ahead and drop that little piece of news there in the chat. Next up, this one's actually like a little bit of a follow-up, and again, also from our friends over at EK. And this is actually going to be new EK M.2 based heat sinks. So for us, it's not as critical, right? Because of course, with ASUS based motherboards, pretty much every modern motherboard that we have already comes included with high performance based M.2 SSD heat sinks. But if you maybe want to just kind of take a little bit further, or maybe you want to add a little bit more of aesthetic styling, which definitely these, I think, have a really premium look and feel to them. You can see that they've got now multiple M.2 heatsink based offerings, or maybe you've got an older board that doesn't have a heatsink, maybe in that secondary slot or something along those lines. This is a cool way to just be able to add a little bit of flair and be able to, of course, ensure the best performance. Now, the reality is in most situations, it's not going to be critical to add an M.2 based heatsink, even to a very high performant Gen 4 based drive, because in most situations, when you load up the drive, you really only see kind of a thermal constraint when you're going through like heavy benchmarking. Real use for the drive, so when you're doing things like web browsing, loading up games, applying patches, they generally don't heavily saturate the drive and have it produce that much heat. But again, if you really want to kind of maximize the best sustained read and write performance, then of course you can utilize a heatsink. And definitely for the future, for the next generation of drives like PCI Express Gen 5 based SSDs, this is even going to be more critical because a lot of people forget that while a lot of people really are excited about M.2 based SSDs, the form factor was designed first and foremost for laptops. It wasn't designed ever for desktops. They're much more power constrained. They're actually much more heat challenged than high performance based drives like U.2, U.3, E1S, which actually have been designed to have much better thermal dissipation, higher power envelopes, and a lot of other kind of benefits along with that. But, again, if you're looking to be able to go ahead and just add something on, nice little addition that you can go ahead and drop onto your board there. So we'll go ahead and drop those there into the chat as well. Somebody says, what's the cool gray box with the RGB in front of you? Are you talking about this one right here? This is my microphone. So if this is what you're asking right here. This is we no longer manufacture it. We're looking actually at maybe releasing a new updated microphone. But this is the ROG Magnus. It was a microphone that we designed a few years back, but it is no longer available. Okay. All right, very cool. So let's go ahead and keep moving this along. Next up, we've got some DDR5 memory news. So we've got some cool updates from some partners on some new kits of memory. So I think first up here is going to be our friends over at Thermaltake. They've gone ahead and actually released a few new kits of actually DDR5 memory under their Tough RAM lineup. I think these are pretty sweet, and definitely you can feel confident and comfortable in terms of interoperability and compatibility with ASUS-based boards here. I think they've actually hit a really good kind of marker in terms of the actual speed bin that they've gone ahead and selected, which they're targeting 5600, which while that's an overclocked frequency, the baseline official standard from Intel is going to be 4800 MT, and that's going to be in a one slot per channel or one slot per channel, one DIMM per channel based configuration. So essentially like 2 DIMMs, right? That you can really kind of expect that generally most CPUs, even in overclock configuration, would generally be able to support up to about 6,000 MT before you start to see a drop off of some CPUs not being able to support higher and higher frequencies. We'll talk a little bit about that when we actually maybe get into our other partner update here, who actually has some faster memory kits. But these, I think, have a really cool, clean aesthetic to them. Of course, you've got the RGB lighting on them, and you'll see right there that they have a couple of different options, right? So with 4800, 5200, and 56, and those are all going to essentially be in 32 gigabyte configurations. I really like these right here. They're XG lineup. They kind of implemented this design in the DDR4 era, and now they've carried over into DDR5. I think these look really cool. I really like this kind of little kind of isolated Z height design in terms of having the RGB profile right there, and then a drop down right there. And then the white, of course, this is going to perfectly pair up with boards like our Prime series, our ROGxStrix-A, our Maximus Formula board in white. So really, really nice. Or if maybe you're going with that kind of contrast look where you want white and black in the same build, that could also work with, of course, any one of our motherboards. And you can, of course, also get that in kind of the alternate kind of monochrome, so silver and gray. And here you're going to be looking at the same frequency. So in the XG lineup, you're only going to get the higher frequency, so 5600 MT, versus remember here in the Z1, you're going to be having essentially the option to be able to go down 48, 52, or 56. And again, these do fully support ASUS Aura Sync, so that means that when you drop them in, you can just go into the Armory Crate software, and you can either use Armory Crate or you can go into Aura Creator to be able to go ahead and tweak and tune all the lighting elements when it comes to that. Okay, so I will go ahead and drop the links there in the chat if anybody maybe is interested in checking those out. So give me 1 second right here. And if anybody has any questions on any of that I noted, definitely go ahead and take a look there in a moment once we get through with our next partner update, okay? Daniel's asking, when is Wave 2 releasing? So Wave 2 has actually gone ahead and already released. So we actually announced, the last one was Wave 3, right? And so we'll have actually one more wave in terms of Wave 4. So some of those products going between Wave 2 to Wave 3 are still kind of rolling out. So it's just a question of just kind of waiting. I would expect that kind of the pending relating items within those respective lines are somewhere between about 7 to about maybe 14 days, probably maybe a little bit less than that, maybe about 7 to 10 days. It depends. Logistically, it'll probably first and foremost be up at the ASUS store, then probably followed up by Newegg. Amazon definitely is last because it just takes them logistically longer to SKU up systems. Micro Center is pretty quick too. They kind of are generally in that similar time frame as far as Newegg as well. Okay. Go ahead and just see if we saw any other questions there. Jin's asking, it would be nice if ROG makes some RAM so we don't need extra software. You don't need any software right now. So with Thermaltake, you can control their software. Right now, the only manufacturer that requires third-party software to control their memory is going to be Corsair. Kingston's latest kit that I actually have in right here, you do have to use the Fury control software, and that's just because it's brand new, and so we haven't patched it in, but we will have a patch in the not-too-distant future. But otherwise, G-Skill, Team Group, Gel, Patriot, ADATA with XPG, right? OCPC, right? Pretty much all other memory manufacturers on the market natively allow for API level control within Armory Crate. So you don't have to use any other software to control the memory. So it's a one-stop shop with Armory Crate. So we don't need to produce our own memory in that regard. All the partners are great. Corsair, those independent, we do validation with them to make sure their memory works, but you do have to install their IQ software, then enable the Aura plugin support, and then you can go ahead and have control. Okay. All right. So, hey, Sniff, happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us here on the stream. All right, let's go ahead and go into one more update here, and that's going to be our friends over actually at just talked about Corsair have also gone ahead and made an update in terms of some additional memory for their platforms, and that's going to be with new Vengeance RGB based memory. So they had already essentially had their Vengeance memory, but it didn't have any RGB. So the first RGB kit that you had available from Corsair was with the Dominator Platinum. Those are, of course, a little bit more expensive. They're even in the kind of a little bit higher positioning. And of course, they have the Capellix based LED based system. Here, it's nice though that they've gone ahead and added in, I think, the RGB into the Vengeance, and you will actually be able to go ahead and have that available to you in both white, so which I think, again, pairs perfectly with our Prime-A, with our ROGxStrix-A, or our, Maximus formula boards in white, or of course you can go with the classic monochrome and have those work. And here, in terms of the speed bins, they're pretty aggressive in terms of actually what they're going to be offering for the speed bin configurations. I believe these will be actually certified going up to, I think, 6600 MT, is I believe what their actual specification support was for this. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can confirm that right here. The one thing that you do want to keep in mind, though, is I noticed that as you really kind of break that 6000 MT, right, it's not a question that we can't run those speeds. We have no problems being able to run higher speeds. If you guys actually remember in our prior stream, I went ahead and showed off things like this, where, these are full validation results. You can see right here, this is running 6400 MT. Running, this is right here, full 1 hour complete stability test. This is on our Maximus Z690 Hero, but I can show it to you right here. Here's another board. Here's on the B660-I, so not even on a Z690 series motherboard. Here's on the Z690 Creator motherboard, and here's even on our Prime Z690A. So, 4 different motherboards, all able to run 6400 MT. The difference, though, that you have to critically keep in mind is going to be that the memory controller, and I'm actually going to have a dedicated live stream and a video along a follow-up piece to our DDR5 Insight post in the community that will go more into understanding IMC variants. So I've actually got multiple CPUs here where I'll be able to show you, here's a CPU and here's kind of the experience when your memory controller is weak and you can't actually run at this speed, and what might be some things you can do if you've got a higher end kit. You need to drop down the memory divider, right? But I'll be able to actually show you, like, here's a CPU that can run 64. Here might be a CPU that can't run 62. And here's one that maybe barely runs 6000. And this is something you have to be mindful of, is that once you kind of break that 6000 MT, it's really a combination of the motherboard, firmware quality, and then the CPU IMC, and then the memory kit. And all of those things have to be kind of compatible to really be able to ensure the best experience, right? And not even just compatible, it has to actually be achieved, right? And the one variable that's really difficult to know is the quality of your IMC, because you could literally have 10 CPUs, as we'll do in this kind of upcoming stream here. We'll be able to show you multiple CPUs and show you that one CPU might be here, another CPU might be here, and another CPU might be here. And that's because we're talking about overclocking variants, right? So just that's something to kind of be mindful of. So it's very cool to be able to see that we have a very high performance based kit configuration that's available. But definitely, like I said, once you break past that 6400 base speed, once you break past that 6000 MT base speed, you do want to keep in mind the kind of the consideration that your memory controller could be the weak point. And if you have a very high performance kit, you may need to kind of go with you might have to manually set the memory divider or something like that. So let's go ahead and just finish showing here. So here you can see it's already they're already loaded up at their store, and you can see Vengeance RGB DDR5 is available, right? And they are have them in, of course, multiple configurations in terms of latency, right? Technically, that's not fully accurate because that doesn't account for total end latency. So it should really just be more resonant to the CAS and the timings, right? But you've got 40 all the way down to 32. So it just depends. So you can see you've got 6600. That's going to be very rare. Very few IMCs are going to be able to hit 6600. You've got 6000, which is, like, I think, the sweet spot. Then you, of course, have other options like 5200 or 5600, which readily be available. So that gives us an update there for another update from our partner. So in a moment here, guys, for everybody wondering about giveaways, don't worry. We're going to talk about those in a moment. I just want to go ahead and drop those into the chat. All right. Very cool. So we've got that out of the way. And just because I might have covered a lot of details right there, let me go ahead and just double check and see if we have any questions that might have kind of come up in that regard. So you see right here. What is the overall DDR5 availability looking like? It's great right now. I don't think there's really been any legitimate issues buying any type of DDR5 for, I'd say, almost about maybe 3 months, maybe even 4 months. Realistically, every partner right now, you can actively get their memory kits in stock. So this is everybody from Crucial to Kingston to Gel to G-Skill to Team Group. It doesn't matter. Pretty much every partner has memory kits, and you have a very, very good kind of delta of availability when you talk about being able to go, do you want 16 gigabytes? Do you want 32 gigabytes? Do you want 64 gigabytes? Do you want, 4800, or do you want 6600? You can literally get it all. So it's very, very good. And if you're talking about cost accessibility at the very entry level, literally, if you talk about like a 16 gigabyte kit, 4800 versus a 16 gigabyte kit, 3200. So official spec to official spec, no overclocking. The delta like if you take a look at like DDR4 officially from Crucial and then DDR5 officially from Crucial at their base configurations, it's less than $25 between that. It only gets more expensive as you go up in terms of the speed, and of course you go for maybe more bin memory that might have tighter values. Francisco's asking, so what does 6400 MT mean? So do I have a kit? Okay, yeah. So I can show you kind of guys right here. So here's the box. And so so this is actually memory that we kind of have installed right here. So when you talk actually about the memory, let me see, actually I can show you right here. I think I might have a close-up shot, yeah, of the memory right here. So when you talk about the memory, right, all the memory has a specific rated speed. So you can see right here is that this kit of memory is rated for 64 MT. So this is mega transfers. And so this is kind of the speed rating for the memory, right? It aligns with everything from the bandwidth to the timings that are applicable to the memory. And the higher that value is, the more bandwidth that the memory can provide. But this is similar to kind of overclocking your CPU when you talk about like going from like 4 gigahertz to like 5 gigahertz. That generally the higher the value, the more performance. But because you can't guarantee it, there are some factors that you have to keep in mind. So right now for DDR5, the base official specification is 4800 MT. That's your standard kind of guaranteed memory speed. And now the speeds that you have are now kind of coming out more and more from partners. As now DDR5 is becoming more available, they can offer faster and faster speeds. So right now about the fastest you can generally get on the market is about these 64 to 6600 kits in terms of their very, very specialized, very, very high performance base kits. Is HyperX coming out with DDR5 anytime soon? HyperX doesn't exist anymore. We actually did a stream last week if you want to find out information about Kingston Fury, which is actually memory. Remember, HyperX was actually sold by Kingston to HP, so they no longer are producing that under that line. But here, this memory kit that I have installed right here, that's actually Kingston's Fury DDR5 memory. So they have DDR5 memory that you can get right now. Okay. Okay, let me go ahead and just see if there's anything else that anybody's wondering about. Okay, great. All right, so let's get ready to go ahead and get into some of our giveaways because we've got a lot of them to talk about. So give me 1 second here. Okay, let me see here. Just make sure we get them all up. Okay. And bring up all our links because I want to make sure that everybody's actually got the links to be able to go ahead and take advantage of all these different giveaways that we have going on. All right. So the first one is going to be one that, of course, is going to be wrapping up in the not too distant future. So again, if you guys haven't taken advantage of it, you want to make sure to go ahead and get on it. This is going to be the ASUS XF120 and Tough Gaming Fan giveaway, right? So it's what we call our fan roulette. It's very simple. You just need to go into the site. So here's the website right here. I will drop this in the chat. Just enter in your information, click submit, and then you will have the opportunity to win either the XF120 fan, which is our high performance non-RGB based fan. Very good as either a case fan or a heatsink based fan. Very good static pressure performance, good airflow performance, very quiet, and has a very high quality bearing. It's called a maglev bearing. The big advantage of a maglev bearing, along with like a fluidic bearing, which is the type of bearing that we use in the Tough Gaming fan, is that compared to a lot of other types of bearings, they have very, very long lifespans, and they also perform much better in both vertical and horizontal mounting configuration. Some people don't realize that when you mount your fans actually in different positions, depending on the bearing, you can actually affect the lifespan of the fan. So that is actually something to be mindful of. A lot of people don't realize that just going from a vertical to horizontal orientation can actually change the dynamics of how the bearing operates in its actually rated performance. So you also have the opportunity to win the Tough Gaming fan, which is our brand new upcoming ARGB fan, and the 3-pack includes also the Tough Gaming ARGB fan controller. So even if you got an older system that doesn't natively support like RGB headers, you'll still be able to go ahead and take advantage of the ARGB lighting on the fan, along with being able to do some really cool designs because this fan does feature dual LED arrays. So it's very bright and very dynamic. So that is going to be a giveaway there. So let me go ahead and drop that one in the chat. Okay, next up here, let's see what we've got is going to be, of course, this one I think probably a lot of you have already gone ahead and taken advantage of. And this one is going to, of course, be one of the biggest giveaways that I think we've ever done. And this is going to be the ROGxEANGELION. If I can actually spell that right, give me 1 second to go ahead and make an edit to that. Give me 1 second. This is our ROGxEANGELION base giveaway. And so this, of course, is going to have a huge number of base prizes. And this is a worldwide giveaway, just like the fan giveaway. So in terms of course, your pricing, you can see the entire prize pool right there. It's over $8,000. I don't really think any one of these are kind of subpars, right? The top prize is a 3090, 1000-watt Thor 2 series based power supply, and then an Arion M.2 based SSD enclosure. Secondary prize is a 3090, again with a Thor 1000-watt power supply. Then the third is going to be Maximus Z690 Hero, Ryogen 2, and a Helios. Might be my favorite actually combination. I know a lot of people really like the 3090, but I really love that combination in terms of the actual hardware configuration. And then three runner-up base prizes, which is going to be right there. You've got the ROG Delta S, which is the gaming headset. It's very similar to like the one that I have right here on the desk. And then the Kirus Wireless, which is a very nice high-performance, ultra-lightweight tri-mode gaming mouse. The ROG StrixScope RX, which is an awesome keyboard. And then the ROG Scabbard, which is our big, high-quality base desk mat. Then we've got right here, second winner, which would be our high refresh rate 1440p gaming monitor. And then also our high-performance Wi-Fi 6 2.5G enabled ROG Rapture router. So a nice kind of collection of hardware. It's awesome. If you guys are not part of the group, you can probably see we've had already people from all around, both in North America and worldwide, not only entering, but also showing off the hardware as they've been getting it in. So pretty sweet. So if you haven't gone ahead and entered in, how many days are left here? Let me see here. Haven't checked it's right there. 15 days left. All right, guys. So about half a month. So let's go ahead and drop that one in the chat there. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our next giveaway. Next one is going to be for the Zenbeam E2. This is a very cool little mini projector that we have that recently launched. It's actually $300, this actually mini projector. The cool thing about it is it has a built-in battery. It has a nice 5-watt speaker that's also built into it. It has actually integrated functionality to be able to go ahead and essentially project either horizontally or vertically, which is great. So again, you could use this to put content easily and show it on a wall, right? You know, whether you're watching YouTube or whether you're watching video services, or if maybe you want to connect it to something even like a Nintendo Switch, right? You've got a lot of flexibility right here. So it's a really cool giveaway that we're doing right here. It does also support wireless mirroring. So if you don't want to, of course, directly take advantage of like the HDMI connection on it, you can also go ahead and wirelessly mirror from Android, iOS, and Windows-based devices. So a lot of flexibility all in this very little compact unit right there. You can see it's very compact. And like I said, have an integrated battery in here, so you don't need a lot of supplemental items to be able to go ahead and pack it in. And literally, you could just pack this into a small little, bag, and you would be good to go. All right. And this actually, even the little package box can actually be repackaged and turned into a small little stand for the projector, which is kind of cool too. But you do also get a carrying bag that comes along with it. And this one, only 2 days left, guys. So if you want to get in on this one, make sure to get in on it. Okay. Let me go ahead and drop that one in the chat. See right here. Hey, Low Nut. Happy to have you here, man. Thanks for joining us here on the stream. Let's see right here. Okay. Hey, Andy. Also, thanks for joining us here on the stream. Appreciate you joining us here. Okay. All right. So let's see. I think we've got still a couple of others right here. Yep. We've got the Arcadegeddon based giveaway, which is another very cool one. So this is actually one that is a collab right here. It's, ASUS, Intel, Newegg, and ENIAC have all come together to be able to give away this awesome Arcadegeddon based PC build and mod. So it's a very, very cool system, as you guys can actually see right here in terms of the images, how unique it is. It's based on tough gaming hardware. So you've got a really nice, high performance, stable, reliable system. But definitely this is not going to be an entry system. Very high performance in terms of that this is based off of Z690. So this is going to be a 12th gen enabled system. And of course, it's going to be liquid cooled, as you can readily see right there, with a nice, really distinctive design to it. So it's pretty much a showcase. You can watch a whole little kind of video there to be able to see how it all came together. But you can see 12900K and ROG Strix 3080 powering the, of course, for the GPU. And then, of course, as I noted, a tough gaming Z690 base board. That's all inside of the Master Frame 700. a 1 terabyte MP600 M.2 SSD. Then you've got 32 gigabytes of G-Scale memory, and then a Thor 1200 watt power supply, and then you get Windows 11. Plus, you get all this awesome supplemental hardware, you know, LAN leaf streamer cables, Corsair Hydro X water cooling hardware, some Primo Chill, you know, supplemental items that are in there in terms of fittings and a lot of other good stuff like that. LAN the Unifans, and then even I think that you get that little soundbar speaker. I think that speaker that you see in one of the images that comes in the Arcadegeddon here build. It's over here in one of these images. I remember right there at the top. So even that comes included with that. So if you want to get in on it, just go ahead and click here. You got 12 days to go. You want to get in on it? Get in on it. You can win a full gaming system. All right. So let's go ahead and drop that one there in the chat. All right, and then I think last but not least, we've got one other one right here. This one is going to be special. I always recommend, of course, if you guys are checking out any one of these giveaways, to make sure and check on the terms and conditions to find out if there are regional restrictions. Sometimes I try to alert you guys if there's a regional restriction, whether it's going to be North America or whether it's limited to, or whether it's worldwide. This one is going to be for our friends up north only. So if you are in the United States, this is a no-go for you. If you're worldwide, it's no-go for you. But if you're in Canada, this is all for you. So just like one of the recent Father's Day giveaway that we did, where we collaborated again, I think also with Newegg, you had the opportunity to be able to go ahead and take advantage of it. So again, if you guys are checking us in Canada, then you want to get in on this giveaway. And this is going to be for a full system right here. You can see you've got, let's see, what's this? This is a Ryzen 5 5600X, Tough Gaming LC240 AIO cooler, 16 gigabytes worth of memory, a Tough Gaming 3070 graphics card, an SN750 500 gigabyte M.2 SSD, and then another SN550 1 terabyte, so 1.5 gigs, and then Windows 10 Home, all put together inside of our GT301 chassis. It's a cool system. And I think the motherboard on this one that is in this build is a Tough Gaming X570 board. So it's pretty much like a whole just Tough Gaming build. I think this is a really cool setup and build overall. So if you guys want to get in on it and you're in Canada, then go ahead and get in on this one. All right. So go ahead and drop this one in there. All right. So yeah, as Michael said, good luck, Snef. Yeah, right. So overall, very cool. Master Sentry says, wow, thanks so much for the links. No problem. You know, we try to do, I think literally probably every month for the last, I don't know, year, we've probably done consistently giveaways. So, you know, we know that there's always people that are trying to get hardware, you know, for different various reasons. So, you know, we try to do a lot of different collaborations. Sometimes they're direct from us. Sometimes they're with partners like what we're doing here. And, you know, sometimes they might even be through, you know, influencers or media that we're working with. But, you know, we're always trying to kind of, you know, give back when there's an opportunity to do so. So definitely just make sure to go ahead and get in on it and take advantage of these giveaways when we do have them. All right, so that wraps up that, and I think that covers us for all the different giveaways. Okay, so I think let's get ready to go into some now. It's just some cool little promotions that we do have going on that some people may or may not be aware about. So I do want to go ahead and touch on these. So give me 1 second, and we will go from there. So get rid of these here. Okay, great. All right, so the first one is going to be, this is a Game on AMD promo. So if you guys are not aware, AMD has actually been coordinating with what they call channel partners. So these are going to essentially be e-tailers and retailers that do carry their products to be able to go ahead and have actually reduced pricing on AMD CPUs as well as AMD GPUs. Of course, with us being a tier 1 AMD GPU partner, we're excited to, of course, have those promotions in place. So if you're going over to, you know, Micro Center, if you're going to Newegg, you're going to Amazon, you're going to be able to see actually lower pricing on, you know, ASUS RX-based graphics card solutions. So I'm going to drop a link right here, but you guys can actually see these are all the models that are currently on promotion from AMD. So they've pretty much gone from top to bottom. If you're looking to be able to build a system, you've got some really nice pricing opportunity, some really nice promotions that are going on, from everything from the Ryzen 5 5600 all the way up to the 5950X. And some of these are some pretty steep discounts. And then on the GPU side, all the way from the RX 6500 XT all the way up to the 6950 XT. So you've got tons of options. And of course, remember with AMD, if you pair these all together too, you do get that optimal kind of AMD enabled experience that you can enable specialized features and functions that help to even extend performance even further when you pair an AMD CPU with an AMD GPU and also on an AMD enabled base chipset like B550 or X570. So this is a pretty cool promotion. When you actually click on the links, if right here, you can see the actual promo pricing. Take, for instance, like Newegg $499, Amazon $499. These are pretty big price drops for actually some of these CPUs. So I would definitely say if you're maybe been finally looking to maybe upgrade a CPU, maybe you have an older motherboard, like you've got an ROG Strix B450 board, and maybe you want to drop into a newer CPU, this is a great way to not only upgrade the CPU. Similarly, if maybe you're looking to upgrade the graphics card, you could do that. So some great promotions that are going on there. I will go ahead and drop that link there in the chat. So if you guys do want those direct links, all you have to do is pretty much just click on the link and it will show you the available e-tailers that do have those available. Okay. All right. Very, very cool. And next up right here, let me see here. I should have it. And this is going to be, where is it? Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. Should have it right here. There's another promotion. Yeah. All right. This is going to be a game bundle, and we are a partner with this game bundle right here with AMD. So if you do go ahead and pick up a card, depending on the GPU configuration that you get, it's called Raise the Game. You can actually get up to 3 games when you buy select AMD RX 6000 base cards. So you can see you've got Saints Row, Forspoken, or Sniper Elite 5. Sniper Elite 5 is pretty cool. If you like the Sniper franchise, I definitely say check it out. It's pretty cool, and it's cool that you can get it for free because I think the game still right now goes for something like $50. So you can pretty much pick it up. So you can see right here that depending on the GPU, you will essentially have a different bracket in terms of the number of games that you get, right? So if you buy something like a 6400 or 6500 XT, you get 1 game. But if you buy any of these higher end GPU configurations, so something like an RX 6700, so like our RX 6700 Dual or RX Tough Gaming based graphics card, whichever one you might get, right, within our graphics cards. And these are already all active in terms of the promotions. So again, if you went to like Newegg, it's automatically added to your purchase. So you'll see that you get the little bundled code and it will come included with the essential purchase. Any one of those GPUs right here, you would get any one of, you would get all 3 of these games. And if you went down with the lower configuration, you would see you drop down with 2 games. And when we go with this GPU, you would only get 1 game, right? But either which way, hey, they're still free games. So if you're looking to be able to pick something up, then that's a pretty cool little promotion that they have going on right there. And I will also go ahead and drop that in the chat. All right, so let's go ahead and go to that. Hey, H2O Computers, funny that you say that, but that's also the other promotion that we are going to be talking on right here, which is called Face Your Demons. So, of course, we are also a tier 1 partner with our friends over at NVIDIA. So if you are interested in also picking up an AMD-based graphics card, because there's some great pricing right now. We did a pretty massive price drop on all of our NVIDIA-based solutions, I think down to 36 RTX 3060-based graphics cards, all the way up, of course, to like 3090 Ti. There's significant price savings in play right now for any number of those GPU configurations. And so here you can see up until August 1st, you have a promotion period, right? And you can see right here, you've got Ghostwire Tokyo, Doom Eternal, and then the Ancient Gods, right? Doom Eternal's classic, man, fantastic game. If you're into FPS, something that's got fast-paced mechanics to it, and it's a fun, engaging gameplay, then pretty cool. And Ghostwire Tokyo is also a really cool kind of game world environment too. So again, you can go ahead and get these in, and you just have to click on the button to go through the redemption process. But we got you covered there if that's one that you're interested in. All right. So that takes us there. Okay, very, very cool. All right, so that takes care of all of our active promotions right now. So give me 1 second here just to make close out of these guys. All right, so we're going to get ready to go ahead and talk about some of our new items that gone ahead and launched. Again, if you guys have any questions, comments that you're wondering about anything, feel free and go ahead and let me know, and I will do my best to go ahead and answer them when I can. All right, so first things first, I think we're going to go ahead and touch on probably Demon Slayer. It's probably maybe why a good chunk of you might have kind of turned in if you guys are interested. And of course, about our next big collaboration that's going to be going on. So let's go ahead and get that one going. So give me a second here. There's quite a number of SKUs here, just like there was. Not as many as we had for Evangelion, but quite a bit. So let's go ahead and take a look here what we've got going on. So this is going to be an upcoming collaboration coming up from us in the not too distant future. And so as you can see right here, this is going to be ASUS and Demon Slayer. So this is kind of following up what we've been doing with our kind of anime-based collaborations. And so here you can actually see the hardware configuration. Definitely not as expansive, but what we did for Gundam or for Call of Duty or for the current ROG Evangelion. And this will still be concurrent. So essentially, as we're still rolling out ROG Evangelion, we're going to be getting ready to roll out the actual Demon Slayer. So this is kind of a little bit of soft announcement. We're now getting ready to actually roll this out in terms of channel availability. So we'll be giving you a little bit of a further update probably next, I think maybe next week's stream, maybe the week after that, but I would say probably somewhere in about the next 10 to about probably 20 days in terms of what we're going to be looking at for overall first channel availability. Here we might see a little bit more kind of focused channel availability than what we saw with ROG Evangelion, where Evangelion, we still actually have the fourth wave coming, and even still some of the third wave, and a last part of the second wave still hasn't fully rolled out, right? So here we'll probably see a little bit more of a concentrated effort in this regard. But in terms of the actual components, you can see that we have the GT501. So this is our large chassis, right? So here you could do, you know, pretty much any motherboard, any large base graphics cards. You can do water cooling in there. There's a lot of flexibility. Snef, I know who's joined us here. He's done a couple of really great builds in the GT501. I think it's a really fantastic chassis. This is actually rolled steel, so it has a really nice heft to it, and it's a great chassis. And this model's also been updated with a Type-C header compared to the standard GT501. You can also see that we have the, of course, Demon Slayer complementary graphics card, and this is going to be with an RTX 3060. And I'll go over the pricing in a little bit. I have pricing confirmed for these components if you guys are interested. And then, of course, we have some complementary peripherals here where we have our Tough Gaming H series headset, which has gone ahead and been, of course, revised to be able to align with the Demon Slayer ID design. We have the Tough Gaming mouse. We have our Tough Gaming P1 mouse pad, which has also gone ahead and been rebranded with the Tough Gaming ID. And then we've got the Tough Gaming GT301, which is our more compact based chassis. So you can still fit an ATX based motherboard in there. You could go with smaller micro ATX, even mini ATX if you wanted to. The one difference that you really want to keep in mind between the GT301 versus the GT501 is that the AIO, if you decide to put an AIO, you can't put the AIO in the top. There's not enough clearance there. So you would have to mount the AIO here in the front. So the radiator would go in the front, and then you would swing out the overall tubing. So that is an important distinction, where here in the GT501, you could mount the radiator either on the top or the front. So it's kind of an either or situation. But with the GT501, with being a more compact chassis, it's designed to only have that radiator be placed here in the front. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look specifically at the pricing that we have right here. See if we also have some little commentary, and let me see right here. So what we got here. Like, I love that. Snuff says, I really want that case and that GPU. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Some feedback on ASUS Apex Legends. Okay, that might be an interesting collab. Yeah, PGPC Sneff's design, the GT501 is awesome. Yeah, Sneff's definitely given his shout out there in terms of one of his favorite cases ever. Master Sentry, the characters are instantly recognizable just from the cases. Awesome job. Yeah, thank you. You know, the key thing here, I think, with these collaborations is to try to really make sure that we're paying homage to the IPs. And so we work very closely with the IP stakeholders to make sure that the kind of the ID design really kind of follows through, and it's really much visible there. So let's go through quickly, just like each one of the products right here in terms of their actual specific pricing. So give me 1 second, and I will go ahead and open these up here, and we'll go through each one. So let me see. We'll go through, I think, GT501, right? So, okay. So let's go with the 501 quickly here first. So this is going to be, let me see right here. This one's going to be coming in at $209. So essentially $210 for the GT501. And you can see here, cool, on the inside too, you've got the nice design. Keep in mind that this one does already come included with ARGB fans. Excuse me, not RGB fans, but RGB-based fans. So you have 320 millimeter here, and then you also have that 140 millimeter base fan. You can mount SSDs right here. You got a lot of cable routing. You can remove this shroud. You've got mounting options right here for a pump and reservoir if you want to be able to go with that. A lot of flexibility for mounting radiators here. Here, you know, a lot of permutations. You get the nice straps at the top so that if you also want to be able to go ahead and lift the unit, especially when you pack in all your hardware, it really is nice and flexible. You've got filters here at the top, at the front, and also for the bottom portion right here. As I noted, that shroud is entirely removable, so that gives you nice flexibility. The actual side panel actually has an angled type design, so that's nice so that even when you move the thumb screws, if you pull the side panel off, it won't fall immediately to the floor. It actually will stay in place. I really also thought a lot of people forget about it, but the back here, there's a lot of actually clearance space right here in terms of what's called the depth. So you can pack in your cables and not have to be super worried that you have to get all your cable management really clean. You can just kind of put it in there, put that side panel on, and you're good to go. You get, of course, your cable routing points right there along with the cable wraps, and you are set. Okay. And you can even see, of course, the cable straps themselves have also gone ahead and been kind of tightened up right there to be able to kind of give that specific design aesthetic. Okay. So actually, sorry, I forgot. I wasn't showing the images right there. So give me 1 second. Let me go back right there. Going over what I forgot to include right there. So here you can see there's the chassis. As I noted, here's the inside, right? Can fit pretty much all your standard form factors. Those are the 3 pre-installed RGB fans, 140, right? You're all good to go. This can be removed. Here's where you would mount essentially like your pump and your res if you wanted to be able to go with like a water-cooled setup. You can fit radiators in there on the side or at the top. Either configuration is entirely fine. Here are the, like I said, the filters, 1, 2, and then 3. Lots of space right here in the back as well. Okay. And those are, of course, your straps. So that's going to be the first chassis. So let's go ahead and now take a look here at, I believe, the second chassis. Second chassis is going to be the GT301. And this one is going to be coming in at $149.99. And you can definitely see this one. I really love the aesthetic, right? It's nice. It's pink and black, so it's got a really cool, nice, distinctive design, which is really cool. It has the actual headphone holder right there on the side too. So if you want to go ahead and take advantage of that, you are set and you're good to go. You got, of course, the nice little ID design that's all built in right there. Of course, your power buttons, your USB, right? It's all set in there. And you can see you got that nice little back there in the back, which of course would be covered once you put the motherboard in place. So you can see quite a bit more compact. You can still mount an SSD right there. You have the tray there, which hides everything in terms of like your PSU cavity. Here's your fans. And of course, as I noted, you can go ahead and fit in a radiator if you wanted to have like a 240 millimeter AIO. You would be all set in that regard. And just for reference, you can see the difference. There's the GT, again, 501, and here's the GT301. Okay. Let me see if we got any questions quickly on that before I go into the next product there for just a confirmation on the pricing. My son has the white GT501. Yeah, I really like the GT501 because we have it in both colors. We have it in the black and we have it in the white. So that's pretty cool. Snef also throws out, yeah, one of the easiest ways to water cool. I definitely agree. Yeah, it's definitely a super easy case to work in, not complicated in terms of the layout or anything along those lines. So it just makes it really, really practical, really easy to be able to work with, right? All right, so those are the first 2 chassis. So let's go ahead and now take a look at the next, which is going to be, I think let's look at the headset right here. So give me 1 second here. This is going to be for the TUF Gaming H1 base headset. And we'll show essentially the 2 headsets. They're both going to be the same price, right? $49.99. It's just the design in terms of the headset. So let me go ahead and just bring those up there. Okay, so here you can take a look. This is based off of the TUF Gaming H1, which is actually, it's a solid headset. It's got good bass. It's a little bit more pronounced than a standard model, so I wouldn't say it's a neutral, but it's not overtly kind of heavy in terms of the bass, but it definitely helps to kind of have a little bit more punch to it. But good bass response, good mid-range, and pretty good treble. It's not going to be as detailed or as high-end as what we'd have with like an ROG Delta-based headset, which has like a quad DAC and amp and really, really nice tuned ASUS SS drivers. But it is a solid, nice quality headset, which is good for gaming, good for general usage, and just good for an overall kind of just more, I'd say, value-oriented, kind of more lower budget type of headset. But definitely, I would have no qualms using this to be able to jump in the game, listen to some music, watching some streams, right? And it's got this kind of cool Demon Slayer aesthetic to it, right? So this, of course, is complementary to, of course, the GT301. It is a 3.5 millimeter connection, so it's an analog base. It can support multi-channel sound, of course, if you have that within your Windows-based options in terms of multi-channel based sound options like Windows Surround with Windows Sonic, which you can do DTS:X or you can do Dolby Atmos, up to you. And very lightweight, 287 grams, pretty much is going to be really comfortable for, I think, anybody. So even people with smaller heads, people with smaller frames, anything once you get about 300 grams is generally going to be considered truly lightweight and very nice and comfortable in terms of the overall, I'd say, kind of clamping force and overall the weight that you feel against your ears. Okay, and here we'll go into the next headset, which is essentially going to be the TANJIRO. And this one just changes up the colorway. So same headset, right? They're both still based off of the H1. So no differences in terms of kind of the sound quality or anything like that. Just going to be the overall design. Okay, that is going to be the headset. So that's going to be coming in at $49.99. All right, so next here, we've got the mouse. This should be here, right here. Yep, Tough Gaming M3. And not too distant future, I can let you guys know a little bit teaser. We're going to have an update to the Tough Gaming M3. So make sure if you're interested in kind of this guy, this is going to be very popular in terms of kind of the budget mouse for people that don't have a lot of money. It's been a nice, solid option that we've had, although we've had some pretty aggressive price drops on some of our ROG Strix-based mice, which I think have actually almost been competing a little bit with the M3. But here you can see, of course, the M3 right here. You got the nice little RGB lighting, nice, clean, compact, good body design, good button layout, right? Smooth encoder. It's not snapped, so it's nice to have that little bit of kind of smoothness, especially for faster paced games like in stuff like in Apex and Valorant, CSGO, where you don't want it to be super crisp. Crispness tends to work better for productivity, not so much for kind of gaming. It kind of depends a little bit right there, but 1 button, 2 buttons, 3, 4 encoder, and then 5 and 6, right? Keep in mind, though, that it's unlike, of course, what we have in terms of the ROG Strix, where the ROG Strix mice, you can change out the actual switches if you want to be able to do that. And there's kind of some other design elements right there, but is a nice option. Okay. And then, of course, we've got the mouse pad right there. So 25 bucks for the mouse pad. And this does also have, of course, similar to kind of some of the other pads that we have, where you have a little bit of resistance against in terms of buildup, for, any type of like liquids that might kind of spill on there. You still want to be able to wipe it away, but that coating essentially helps to essentially just mitigate it from getting settled into the actual textile itself. And then we've got the same mouse pad, right? But in the alternate color. And again, remember the feature set is going to be exactly the same. It's just going to be the difference in terms of the overall design. Okay, very, very cool. All right, so that pretty much, I think, covers all of the new products that we're going to be having there for the, of course, Demon Slayer collaboration. So you know all the pricing. And again, we'll have a little bit of an update, just like we do with ROGxEANGELION, in terms of helping you give you guys the timeline respective to release. But as we're now getting ready to roll them out in terms of channel availability, I would expect probably the first listing is probably going to be in about 10 days or so approximately. If you guys are part of the PC DIY group, we will have a posted thread, just like what we have with the ROGxEANGELION thread, and I will post that. So actually, let me go ahead and actually show people what that looks like right now, because for those of you who might be watching on the stream that don't know what these kind of looks like, it might be advantageous for you to see how we help to communicate that information, right? So give me 1 second to go ahead and bring up that thread there. And so you can kind of be aware of what you kind of want to look out for, and where you'll see the actual updates and how I have the updates structured when we do have that information essentially available. So let me go ahead and just jump in here to the group and head over to that thread and we'll have that there. So that's our giveaway announcement, and I think right over here should be ROGxEANGELION announcement. Okay, perfect. Here, I found it. Okay, so if you guys here, check out, this is in our group, and you can see right here. So here was the original announcement post, and I put all the products and I put all the pricing, and you'll see right there is that each time there's kind of been a wave or introduction release, I went ahead and amended it. So you can see right here, here was an update 621, then 711, and 712, right? And so that was like wave 1, wave 2, and then wave 3, and then we have one last wave, right? And then of course here I detailed all the different products that were part of that. So we'll have the same thing shortly going up for ASUS Demon Slayer, and I'll have the same thing kind of posted in there. Although we do probably expect for Demon Slayer, I don't think that there'll probably be 2 waves. Could probably be, but it'll probably only be a single wave. Okay. All right. So I will go ahead and drop that there in the chat for anybody that's interested. And let me go ahead and just check and see if anybody has any questions right there. Oh, yes, yes, you did. I did actually forget the GPU, didn't I? So thank you for catching that. I did forget the GPU. GPU right here is going to be Tough Gaming Graphics Card RTX 3060, and that is going to be $489 is going to be the price point for that guy. And let me go ahead and show. Do I have the GPU here? Let me make sure if I actually have the GPU images. I just literally, we just got these, so I don't have all the formalized assets yet. But yep, I have it right here. Okay, good. So I can show that to you. So here is going to be the graphics card. So it's going to be our Tough Gaming 3060. So this, you get all the design benefits of our current Tough Gaming graphics card. So cool, quiet, fast, built with our ASUS Auto Extreme production process, right? These are our Axial Tech fans, nice, beefy, robust heatsink design, customizable in terms of the TGP and TBP if you want to be able to extend performance from the card. But, you know, it's already going to be great. Factory overclocked actually out of the box, so it's faster than a standard FE-based 3060 base card. You still get the RGB lighting, so similar to this one right here, where you have that small little like RGB lighting accent strip that's right here at the top, and then there's also another one on the side. So there's 2 points of little RGB lighting. Just a simple 6-pin PCI Express power connector, so very minimal, not a huge demand in terms of your power supply configuration. And there's the display out configuration. So you've got DP, HDMI, DP, and DP. Thanks, Miguel, for catching that one, because I did forget to include that one. So there we go. That is going to be all of them. So give me 1 second here to load up in our next points, and we will keep moving that along. Okay. So let me just see here if we had any questions that came up. Let's see. So Kevin's letting us know ASUS always kills it with the collabs. Keep them coming. I would love to see some Dragon Ball in the future. I agree. I think Dragon Ball would be a really cool one. I know that we asked for people that are doing the ROGxEANGELION giveaway. You actually have kind of a commentary thread, and we actually have one in the group. We're actually tracking it. Our headquarters team is looking at it, where people can go in and put in kind of their thoughts on what they would like to see. My personal ones, I tell you that I would like to see. These are my top 3. I'm a huge Warhammer fan. I love 40K. I love the universe. So I'd love to maybe see an ASUS and 40K collab. My second one would be, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. So I would love to see something from Star Trek. It's somewhere in the TNG era. So it could be anywhere from, you know, any things that you see within TNG, DS9, Voyager. I'm a big fan of that, but you know, there's a lot of depth and breadth, of course, to Star Trek that would be able to go in there. And then I'm a huge comic book fan. And so I would love to maybe see something, a collaboration with something like, let's say like DC Comics or something like that. I think would be pretty amazing to be able to do. But there's tons of different collaborations. A lot of people have left some great ideas. And I think with the theme of anime, Dragon Ball is definitely up there, maybe one of the best other, you know, I think big IPs that are very popular. But we know that we've had a lot of feedback from other people in parts of the world. And so I think that, you know, that's one thing we're also trying to balance out, right? Where anime sometimes has kind of popularity in some segments, but isn't necessarily popular in all parts. So we're also trying to be mindful of kind of collaborations where there's a lot of maybe interest in varying regions, because especially with these worldwide collaborations, you know, we're trying to really test the waters to see how many different types of users really kind of have interest in these collaborations, right? So very, very cool. So let's see here. Paul says he gives a thumbs up there. I think for Star Trek. Sumin also says Star Trek. Snef, resistance is futile. Yeah, man. What could be done there with the board, right? That would be pretty cool. Pascowitz says automotive and racing. That's actually something I know there's been some discussion in the past. We actually did used to have ASUS had a collaboration and relationship with Lamborghini. We did have actually Lamborghini edition products. It wasn't on our components, but we did have actually Lamborghini system related products. Okay. Ed Martin says, when will the items be available? You should probably start seeing them show up in about like 10 to about 14 days for the Demon Slayer based products right there. Okay. Eric Mills says, any update when the rest of wave 2 and wave 3? So wave 3 is pretty much kind of coming in right now. It started to kind of push in. So it's going to be pretty similar. In about the next 7 to 10 days is when you should start to see those solidify in terms of overall availability. Okay. Hey, RPM Designs, you know, if you have specific feedback, I would recommend make sure to go ahead and drop it in the ASUS Armory Crate forum. I think you'll actually find a lot of people here in the chat can tell you that they're actually running it daily. This system right here, it's one of my test beds. I have 4 different test beds. They're all running Armory Crate without any issues. I would definitely say that in the last year and a half, feature set and functionality and maturity has reached a really good point. I use this consistently as test bed situation, and it runs consistently well. I don't have challenges. I don't have issues. But, you know, the reality is that there's always a lot of permutations, especially if you're running mixed RGB ecosystems. And we do work with partners in that. But when you run mixed RGB ecosystems, it runs a bigger likelihood of running into issues because there's different addressing, different software stacks that are kind of running into place. So that could be one of the things. But, you know, if you can go ahead and drop us a feedback report within the ASUS Armory Crate forum, that's monitored by our dev team, then they can go and help to maybe review your situation, see if they can debug it and overall help you help improve upon the experience. But I definitely feel very confident. I would say that if you take feedback from people within our group, for a large part, I'll tell you that there are people that are running it consistently, they're using it, and it's running reliably day to day. You know, and it's a very broadly deployed software, right? We run it from everything from our laptops to desktops to our peripherals to our component products, right? So, you know, we do spend a lot of effort, and we are consistently monitoring feedback from our users to make sure that we're being mindful of where we can make improvements in terms of stability, functionality, and feature set. Okay, thanks for that feedback there. So let me go ahead and just see any last points right there. Okay, all right. So let me just see right here. Anything else? H2O Computer says, you know, Armory Crate rocks, and even Paskowitz, who has been critical in the past, and says it's gotten better. I used to be a big hater, but it's fine, right? And so again, you know, everybody has kind of their preference on it, but I really do feel, you know, one of the main kind of last points that I'll make is that if you're somebody that's been rolling a lot of consistent versions, you've had upgrades, maybe you didn't want to reinstall your operating system, you may eventually have to kind of just make that commitment to do a fresh, clean install, make sure your UEFI is up to date, and do a full, clean installation of the software environment. If you don't have any pre-existing kind of framework or software that's present there, you generally will find that the installation and the functionality works quite well. Okay. All right. So let's get ready to go ahead and keep moving things along here because we do have a lot of pieces to cover. So that takes care of Demon Slayer announcement. So I think the next item here is going to be, I want to touch on some of our other new products that we have coming out. So let me go ahead and bring up the next one. So this is going to be the ROGxEANGELION XG32UQ. So this is going to be a pretty exciting product, I think. So this is going to be our next addition to offering a monitor that is going to be 4K, high refresh rate, and HDMI 2.1. So we, of course, already have the PG32UQ, but there's actually going to be a replacement for that monitor coming up. And then we also have the ROG PG32UQ-XE that's available, right? Excuse me, that will be coming out. And then there's also the current PG32UQ-X, right? Which is our very, very high-end, you know, very advanced, a full array mini LED based model. But I think for a lot of people, this model is going to hit a very interesting sweet spot in terms of giving you that 4K resolution, 32 inches, a fast IPS based display with a peak measured performance of 1 millisecond gray to gray. Of course, that's the peak. That's not representative necessarily of the entirety of the response across the entire panel. But you've got 32 inches, 4K, fast IPS up to 160 hertz in terms of the refresh rate, that 1 millisecond gray to gray, peak performance, NVIDIA G-Sync compatibility, along with FreeSync Premium Pro compatibility, variable overdrive, which is important in terms of ensuring kind of a very good motion clarity experience across the refresh rate range, right? So, you know, from 60 hertz all the way up to that 160 hertz. It's a Display HDR 600, which Well, it's still short, I think, of the 1,000 nits that a lot of times you want to have, ideally for the peak HDR gaming performance. The way I look at it is that HDR 600 also helps to certify a brighter panel. All right. And so if you're coming over from an older panel that might only be rated for like 250 nits, going to a monitor that offers, 3, 4, 500 nits is really a big bump in terms of the overall just brightness and the pop that you're going to see in terms of the display. This display also has outstanding color performance and is factory calibrated. So very, very good out of the box color accuracy. So HDMI 2.1, of course, here is present along with DP. So it doesn't matter whether you're on the console side or whether you're on the PC side, you're going to be good to go. It does come with our new all black base design, and this does also support the ROG desk mount kit, which means that you can have the C clamp mounting design. It has the new tripods 1/4 quarter mount option right there. So it's at the top. So if you want to be able to go ahead and connect, like a light, mirrorless camera, even a secondary like portable monitor that we offer, like one of our XG monitors for like a dual monitor setup kind of configuration, you could do that. That is pretty sweet as well. And on top of that, this one also does support our display widget technology. So if you're not familiar with that, that's essentially a piece of software that will allow you to make adjustments to the monitor's on-screen display in Windows. And I'm a really big fan of it. Here you can see the kind of total configuration in terms of the I/O. So USB 3.2, which is nice for just if you want to put like your wireless adapters, if you want to put an external drive, Stream Deck, any number of kind of different devices. You have a line out there for the 3.5 millimeter. Ergonomics, height, tilt, and swivel in terms of the overall flexibility. So you're good to go in terms of all the ergo. And of course, it does support VESA mounting if you wanted to go with some type of VESA mount. And I'm going to show it again just because some people, again, haven't seen it. But let me show you here the display widget software, where this is a pretty cool application. So I don't have right now my portable display connected here, but you can see that if I did, I could go and control like things like the brightness, the contrast, the sharpness. I can adjust like shadow boost. I can go into different modes like user mode, RTS, FPS, cinema, scenery. You can actually have custom presets that you can share amongst people. I really like AppSync, which lets you change the profiles between different applications. So if I wanted to open up my web browser and have that be like an sRGB mode, so for the most kind of accurate picture, then I can look at my pictures like that. Or when I'm browsing the web, I can take advantage of that. But maybe if I jump into Forza and I want Forza to maybe have a little bit more pop and punch, maybe I have it set to a different profile with different contrast level, right? Maybe a different sharpness rating, right? Or FPS, maybe I want to enable shadow boost if I'm jumping into CSGO, or maybe I'm jumping into Apex or something, right? So it depends, right? That's the cool thing, is you could have this done automatically. You don't ever have to touch a button on your monitor. Just use the display widget software. So that is a cool level of functionality. All right. So that will be coming up in the not too distant future there. Master is going, I use my ASUS One app for my current monitor, which is from ASUS. So my ASUS app is a little bit different. It's designed to kind of give you a consolidated point of just knowing kind of your products for customer service and support. It can also help to give you driver updating information and some firmware updating information. And on laptops, it gives you certain other elements to give you control, but it doesn't specifically have any options for managing the monitor. So specifically for managing your monitor, if you get an ASUS compatible monitor that supports display widget, you do need to download the display widget software. Add remote for monitor switch signal source. Yes, this is something that we're actually looking into for a future version of display widget. It's right now not 100% confirmed, but it is something that we are looking into. Masar is going, is this a replacement for the XG27UQ? I guess you could kind of look at it like that, but the XG72UQ will still be made available because the specifications are a little bit different in that. I don't have a price yet for this one. Availability will probably be looking towards maybe the end of August timeframe is probably when you should probably see it in terms of the overall availability. Okay. All right. So that is going to be the first new addition that we're going to have there with the ROG Strix XG32UQ. Okay. And I do have an update. I didn't put it in a banner right here, but anybody that's wondering about our upcoming OLED, we are on time track, hopefully for the end of Q3 release. So probably in terms of overall, more information coming in August, and then probably with channel availability coming in September for the ROG Swift OLED. So if you've been waiting for our OLED-based displays, our 42-inch and 48-inch based ROG Swift monitors, they are going to be coming, and we are looking right now to have a target for about September timeframe. Okay. All right. Let me see right here. 4K 280 hertz. We're looking at some different aspects, but right now, I think what makes the most sense resident to kind of 4K and refresh rate and GPU performance, I think, is what we're targeting right now, which is generally in this range of kind of this refresh rate value. And when you're talking about ultra high refresh rate, so like 240 to 360, we think that makes most sense at 1440p. So we also are going to be having the upcoming PG 279QN, right, which would be the 360 hertz 1440p based monitor. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and go into our next product here. This is going to be a very kind of, I'd say this is going to be an entry-based display. It's not going to be, of course, a gaming-centric option, but if you're looking for kind of a large format, lower-priced monitor, then this is going to be an option you want to take a look at. This will be the VA329HE, 31.5 inches, full HD 1920 by 1080. 75 hertz adaptive sync support is on this. Of course, it has VESA mount support on there, 2 HDMI ports that are going to be on this monitor. And again, the VA series is just kind of our entry-level series where you're just looking for a good quality monitor replacement. We have them in wide number of sizes, right? So we have 4K, we have 1080p, we have 1440p. They don't have gaming-centric specifications in terms of like ultra-high refresh rates or things like mini LED backlighting technology, full array local backlighting technology, or even kind of extensive kind of multi-IO configurations. These are really going to be for people that are looking for lower price points, but they want to get it from a reputable brand manufacturer, right? Have just a solid kind of option to be able to have for general productivity purposes, and you're good to go, right? And so this is also going to be an IPS-based display, so you got good color viewing access. It's not factory calibrated like some of our higher displays, but you can do, of course, your own calibration to be able to go ahead and tighten up the color accuracy in that regard, okay? And this one, as you'll see, will be coming in at $199 in terms of the overall price point, okay? So that is going to be the VA32HE. And next up here, we're going to go in a little bit into the routers. And this is going to be for the ZenWiFi Pro XT12. So this is a pretty high performance mesh solution. It's really kind of one of the fastest units you can get on the market. This right here is going to be a Wi-Fi 6 enabled mesh networking solution. So we're going to have it in two configurations. One is going to be a 2-pack, and then the other one is going to be a 1-pack, or essentially one node. So this is going to be a tri-band based system. So that means you have 3 bands that are going to be available to you. So you have the 2 gigahertz and then 2 5 gigahertz based bands. You can do what's called a smart connect configuration, which means you have just like one band that's visible to you and everything connects to that. And then the router will automatically assign your devices to different bands, depending on how those devices are classified. So some people really like that, but if you want to maintain individual bands, you can go that route. When you're setting up the mesh network, we also did give you a lot of flexibility to compare to many kind of other manufacturers, where you can go in and define what is called different types of backhauls. So the backhaul is how your routers and your nodes essentially are going to talk to each other. And this is going to be important for maximizing kind of the range. So you can see one unit by itself is quite good. It could cover a 2-story based house. Even kind of your garage, your backyard, your patio, up to 3,000 square feet. Of course, going with these units, you can easily get actually even over 6,000 square feet if you go with the 2-pack based configuration. And you can, of course, deploy those in different types of environments. Now, one really big upgrade that this model has too is that it has dual 2.5 gig LAN on there. So you have 2.5 WAN. So if you were to upgrade later to faster ISP services, then you have a 2.5 gig WAN port. So that runs directly from your modem here. So you can get greater than 1 gigabits ISP-based service directly for the mesh unit. And then you also have a secondary 2.5 gigabit LAN port. So if you've got maybe like a laptop or a motherboard that has 2.5 gig LAN, you can fully maximize from that speed connection, right? So that is going to be really built for the next generation of ISP services, and also helps to really kind of maximize the performance in terms of kind of connectivity. And you can see then you still have 2 other 1 gigabit LAN ports that are going to be on the unit. And from the backhaul, as I noted, right, you have the flexibility. You can go with a wired backhaul. So if maybe in your house you have like Ethernet routing, you could connect the routers and then have all 3 bands available. If you do have the wireless backhaul, that means one of the bands will be lost. So that means like 2.4 could be the backhaul, and then you would have 2 5 gigahertz bands available. Or if you kind of put the little units closer together, you could use a 5 gigahertz backhaul and then leave 2.4 in the other 5 gigahertz band available. So it just depends on how you kind of want to set it up. Okay. And if you don't know anything about that, you feel kind of confused, we can do all of that for you. It's automatically taken care of when you go through the advanced setup in the ASUS Router app. Okay. You can do a lot of really cool things too, like monitor all your traffic. You can prioritize devices. You can prioritize experiences. So you could set it to like gaming. You could set it to like media streaming. If you want to prioritize your laptop, or you want to prioritize your streaming box, or you want to prioritize your console, you can go in and you can prioritize either devices or experience. So it's very robust. This unit also has a quad-core based processor in there with 1 gigabyte worth of memory. The big benefit of having the quad-core processor on there is also going to be that for more advanced features like upcoming WireGuard VPN performance, you get really, really outstanding performance in that regard compared to like a much older router, which might only have like a dual core based router in it. So this is, I believe this is a 2 gigahertz quad-core SoC. Let me double check here. Yeah, 2 gigahertz quad-core SoC that's in this unit. Okay, so this one will be coming in at $799, and then there will also be a single pack unit of this, which will be $429. Okay, and keep in mind that with any of our ZenWiFi, or also of course with any one of our traditional routers, you can buy also just a single router, and then you could combine them together to make your own mesh network. So our ZenWiFi units are generally going to be like a prepackaged mesh configuration, but we offer right now probably about 30 routers that could all be made into a mesh just by adding a secondary ASUS router together with it. Okay, all right, so that takes us care of that. Let me go ahead and just see if we have any questions on that side. Tomas is asking, is it possible to add features to block or ads on the router like Pi-hole? Yes, you actually do have that functionality. So we do have an option that's available to you within the ASUS Router app that actually offers a type of filtering that gives you that type of flexibility, similar to essentially like Pi-hole, where you can actually have add filtering that's built into that. There's also a lot of other advanced kind of safety features where we have like DNS filtering available, so that you can actually have different types of DNS filters for protecting your devices from connecting to servers that have essentially been marked as being malicious or exploitive in nature. So you do have that type of flexibility there. Talon's Tech, do you need to sign up for the giveaways anywhere? Hey, Talon, you might have missed already that part of the stream earlier. We went actually all over all the giveaways, and I linked them in the chat. So depending on the platform, if you're watching it on YouTube, you might be able to actually go back to that portion of the stream, and we all the links have been dropped into the chat. If not, if you're part of our group, you can go in and to recap, essentially we have essentially the Tough Gaming fan and ROGxF120 fan giveaway that is going active right now. We also have the, the ROGEANGELION base giveaway, the Zenbeam E2 portable mini projector giveaway, the ASUS Intel Newegg and ENIAC Arcadegeddon PC giveaway, and then also we have the AMD Affiliate Plus Stream PC full gaming giveaway, but that one is exclusive to Canada. So all of those already gone been detailed, and I dropped all the links in the chat. If you want a specific link in a little bit, let me know, and I can see if I can drop it back there in the chat for you, okay? When fast router with built-in NAS on NVMe drives could be a great product. That would add a lot of cost to be able to integrate that type of solution. In the reality, it doesn't necessarily make as much sense, right? Most users, I think, when they want the flexibility of having like a NAS-based storage, in most situations for kind of like backup purposes, one, you already have a high-speed USB port on a lot of routers, which you could just attach as an external drive to. And also you could get something like an ASUS Store, who's a great partner product company with us, that they make tons of great NAS units. And then you could connect that to either like a 2.5 gigabit or even a 10 gigabit port that we have on our routers if you wanted kind of really robust, fast, high-speed NAS type connectivity, right? Hey, Elect Vet, right? I would say 2.5 gigabit is interesting. It's sometimes you actually have to look at, depending on your configuration. There shouldn't be any active issues. All V3 versions of the controller with updated drivers actually allow for solid maturity. Keep in mind that there's always a little bit of overhead penalty. You have cable quality can also be a factor, and sometimes there can be what's called switch node interoperability challenges. So sometimes when you're making a certain NIC matching it with a certain switch, you can actually sometimes run into variables where maybe that device might need to be patched, or maybe the firmware might need to be actually resolved. And there have actually even been bugs within certain types of OS environments that actually can have issues with different types of multiplexing for different types of network controllers. So that might be also something you have to take a look at. Like I've seen that specifically happen with some type of NAS environments where users might be running some type of specialized, like let's say free NAS or something like that, and they have to go from one version to another to resolve certain issues. So there's a lot of permutations. I can tell you on our end, we do validate and test kind of the controller's throughput functionality. And so we feel very confident in terms of the overall functionality. But once it gets deployed into an environment, there's a lot of permutations that can affect that. So, you know, you kind of have to really kind of be methodical at kind of checking out all the endpoints to see what may or may not be affecting the networking experience. Talon, we are looking at a smaller kind of OLED solutions, but you have to look at really kind of panel production, cost, complexity, and also OLED. It's still kind of a mixing ground. I mean, we're starting to deploy it a lot into our laptops. And we're also kind of testing the waters to see what end user feedback is like, because you still have some variable experiences in terms of the way that OLED panels work in relation to kind of traditional panels and how they handle like subpixel arrangements for like text clarity and productivity, and there's a number of kind of variables, right? So I don't think that it's necessarily an end all be all technology from our perspective. You know, we're looking at all types of different types of technologies to find what is the best for the target use case scenario that the user is looking for, right? So if it's about, you know, motion clarity, or if it's about, you know, HDR performance, if it's about, you know, uniformity, right? You know, there's a lot of variables in terms of how you can evaluate a panel. And so the great thing for us is that, you know, we're actively looking at all of the different types of technologies, and then we'll integrate those over time into our product portfolio. Okay. All right. So I think that wraps up most of those points that I wanted to be able to go ahead and touch on. If anybody, of course, has any other questions in there, feel free to go ahead and ask. Let me go ahead and get ready to jump into the next section here, guys. All right. So see right here. Wait a second here. Okay. The giveaways, promos, partner announcements, all our new product introductions. Okay, great. So I think the last part that I just want to go ahead and touch on here, guys, is I do want to remind you before we get ready to jump into the PC DIY Builder Spotlight that we do also have this promo kind of page that we launched that was called ASUS Infinity, and we do update this intermittently. And there's actually some really great promotions that get updated over a period of time. Sometimes it can be a couple of weeks, sometimes it could be like a month. But if you are looking for promotions on different types of products, these cover motherboards, monitors, routers, peripherals, graphics cards, and power supplies. And if you watch this page, sometimes you can get some really great promotions that are going on. An example of one that I really like right now is this Strix 1000 watt fully modular gold series power supply. Normally $250, it's $170. It's now one of the cheapest 1000 watt power supplies you can get, and it's an outstanding PSU, right? It has a lot of the ROG upgrades in there with, you know, an improved topology. It has our Axial Tech based fan, ROG based heat sinks, Japanese based capacitors in there. So this is a great promo price right there. You can see the white ROG Strix 850 watt power supply for $139. A lot of the graphics cards, which you can see on really nice promos. Some of these peripherals too are on a really great deal. We actually had the Pugio even actually further reduced. It's sold out now, but it was at $39, which for that mouse is outstanding for, you know, wireless, Bluetooth, and USB-C, high quality optical sensor. You could swap out the switches. It was pretty sweet. The Delta, which is one of my favorite headsets, you can see here is like $30 off. The Claymore keyboard, which is normally $270, you can see is for $220. That's $50 off for our cool Claymore 2, which, remember, this keyboard, it has our RX switches on there, right? So those are optical switches, have really, really nice key stability to them, has that modular numpad design, so you can go TKL or full-size keyboard, wired or wireless, right? You also have other promos too. We have the Falchion. This is $50 off. It's the same keyboard you guys always see me using right here on the stream. It's our 65% wired and wireless keyboard. It has an integrated touch bar on it. So that one's got a promotion. So some really nice promos that you'll see on there. So I would recommend checking that out. I'm going to drop the link there on the Infinity promo right there. And just keep in mind that those promos do expire, so they don't stay active. So we do change them kind of like every kind of week or couple of weeks like that. But if sometimes you're going like, hey, maybe I want to update my keyboard or my mouse or my headset or my router, check the ASUS Infinity page, because you could really maybe be saving yourself, sometimes 20, 30, 40 bucks, 50 bucks, $100. Even monitors, we had the ROG Strix 360 hertz monitor for $200 off, right? I was like, that was crazy that you could get the fastest monitor that you could get on the market right now, 360 hertz monitor, and it was 200 bucks off, right? So that's pretty sweet. All right. Okay, so I think that wraps up everything that we wanted to touch on right here. Before we get ready to jump into the PC DIY Builder Spotlight, guys, I want to go ahead and give you guys the opportunity, if anybody has any last questions before we get ready to take a look at some cool builds right here. But I also want to make sure to be able to show off a little bit some of the cool stuff that we just finished wrapping up on our PC DIY OC Meetup Edition. So we go ahead and show that right there. So we actually just recently ran a cool little kind of get together that happened recently, where we invited a whole set of kind of overclockers, and they joined us at our actually ASUS Experience Center. We actually ended up breaking, I think, about like 7 records in terms of actually some overclocking. So here you can see some of the cool action that was going on in terms of the few days that the overclockers were essentially overclocking memory, CPUs, graphics cards, and whatnot, all inside of our Experience Center. So here we, of course, had a cool little live stream. You guys can actually check it out on the YouTube channel, where we actually did some live overclocking. I think we ended the session where we had it at 6.1 gigahertz, but before it was over, we had already overclocked it to 6.9 gigahertz at 12900K. Pretty sweet. And that was on our Maximus Z690 series boards right there. Of course, there you can see some of the cool liquid nitrogen being used to kind of cool everything down, right? Sorry, right here. Actually, give me 1 second here. I thought I had some other images right there. Give me 1 second. Yep. Okay, here we go. Yep. So here you guys can just see, this is kind of like the little test bed setup, and this is how kind of traditionally extreme overclocking works, right? Is you put it on test bed, you've got a pot. Of course, you're going from your dwar, putting in your liquid nitrogen, going into the pot, keeping everything really, really cold, because of course you are going down extremely low to be able to make sure that you can account for the voltages and the frequency that you're pushing, right? These are actually our Tough Gaming ARGB fans being used to help to go ahead and manage a little bit there on that. And of course, you can see our Thor setup. This is an older GPU because we were only focusing on just overclocking the CPU, so the GPU didn't matter. This is our older Matrix series graphics cards. But overall, just cool. If you guys are interested, like I said, seeing a little bit more about that, or interested in maybe future PC DIY meetup events that we may be doing, not only at ASUS Experience Center, but maybe actually at some e-tailers and retailers that we're talking to, then make sure to go ahead and be part of the group, and you can find out about them as they were checked out. Okay. All right. Very, very cool. All right, so let's go ahead and now get ready to check out some sweet stuff in terms of the ASUS PC DIY Builder Spotlight, guys. This is one of my favorite parts of course, the stream, where we get to take a look at some cool builds from you in the community, where you guys have submitted your systems, and we can take a look at what you guys have done with some ASUS hardware. So let's get ready to go ahead and take a look and see what we've got going on right here. Master Sentry is giving us a little bit of shout out. I really appreciate all the work you put into these live videos. Very informative and entertaining to watch, man. Thank you so much. That's what the PC DIY hardware stream is all about. It's the opportunity to try to mix a little bit of everything in there, where we give you guys some community insight, partner news, some giveaway information, and product announcements, live hands-on demos, whether it's, overclocking, GPU tweaking, right? Product insights, feature demonstrations, right? As well as, of course, showing off what you guys are doing in terms of PC builds. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first system right here. And I think first build is going to be from, let me see if I can pronounce this. Argion Kevin Altilano. Hopefully I said that right. It's my little ROG. So let's go ahead and take a look at this system. It's a fantastic looking build, I can tell you that much. So let's go ahead and bring it up here, and we'll see what it looks like. All right, here we go. I think I'm digging this. This is pretty cool. Let me go ahead and just make this just a little bit smaller, guys, just so it gives us a little bit more room right there. Okay, very cool. So here we can already tell you this is inside of an ROG Helios, right? So the GX601 base chassis. We can see that we've got a Thor series power supply. We've got some customizations right here where they've extended kind of the cybertext narrative in there. We got a secondary stat display, which is pretty cool. They've also put in some customized accents over here. We, of course, have streamer cables. We've got a Ryogen, just like what I've got right here on my testbed system. This is an ROG Strix board and then ROG Strix graphics card. And then, of course, we've got the Liani Uni fans, which, of course, have been super popular in terms of a wide number of builds. But overall, this is pretty cool. I like the layout. It's cool. It's clean and well executed, especially for the lot of stuff that you've packed in there, right? And you've got, of course, all that kind of little stylized. Now, this is with the RGB lighting off. So now let's go ahead and take it up and let's see what happens when we go ahead and turn on our lighting. Oh, there we go. So now we can definitely really get the vibe and the feel and the look of the system, right? So I really, really like the way that this turned out. It's got a really kind of cool kind of synth wave color scheme to it that I think looks pretty slick. So you can definitely see the difference between that RGB lighting off. Some systems I think look really great when they don't have any lighting, but I think this system shines the most when you finally have that lighting coming on there, because you can really see kind of just those nice pops and contrast in there, right? So the pinks, the purples, I really like the actual choice to go with a little bit of keeping this with the white and then the blue as an accent here to, of course, the pinks and the purples, and just showing off these patterns too, which we have here. Overall, I think this turned out really, really slick. I love really everything about it. The only thing that probably I would change if it was me is even though I'm ROG and I'm ASUS, I would have probably removed the secondary ROG eye because I feel it's a little bit redundant with also having this ROG eye right there. But otherwise, I love the way this turned out. I think it turned out really clean and really well executed. I also like right here, we can see that on the front, they didn't go with RGB fans. So I like that design on the Helios because it allows the pattern, what's called the Maya pattern design, to be a little bit more present and you can see it. So I think that came out really nicely. And then a nice close-up look right here, really clean. I can tell from these dims right here, of course, we have this is going to be a Z690 based system. So very nice high performance. Of course, the one challenge I'll tell you here is that they're running DDR5. So technically from a performance perspective, this is worse because 2 DIMMs is going to be actually superior in terms of the actual latency for the IMC communication and for bus addressing. So technically you want the best performance and also you want the highest frequencies that can be reached. It should be in a 2 DIMM configuration, not a 4 DIMM, but I know some people just obsessed with wanting to have 4 DIMMs for the aesthetic, right? But to each his own. Overall, though, nice, clean, really nice layout in terms of all the cabling. It's all nicely compacted in there. That Ryogen 2 is really looking really good in there. And overall, it's a great looking build. I've got really, like I said, nothing to negate. I like the color scheme. I like the layout. It's clean. It's well managed. And like I said, I'm a fan here. The only thing I would probably take away that little secondary RGI right there. Let's see right here. So we got a question is, what are the cable covers with the LEDs on them called? Are you talking about these right here? These are streamer cables. So these are from Lian Li, but there's a couple of companies that make these. XPG also makes these that you can get them. There's a few different companies that make these kind of RGB extensions. So one thing I always would tell people though is test your system before you put any extensions, because you actually are adding in resistance and you actually affect efficiency of your power supply. So the longer the cable, the lower the efficiency. So technically your best efficiency comes with using a native cable always. So when you add an extension, it does weaken it a little bit, but if you've got a very good quality power supply, so here they can see you've got a nice high quality Thor, it's not really an issue, but it is just something to kind of be mindful of. And always when you're first testing your system, I do recommend doing it without any extensions just for the best stability, okay? So PGPCs gives us, yeah, so glad no RGBs in the front. It just kills the look of such a beautiful case, right? Master's giving us, yes, this looks sweet, nice mix of colors. Oh, hey, Erica, nice system. Love the colors. Yeah, I definitely agree. I like the colors too. Overall, 90s color feel to it, and Zoom in is letting us know it's very clean and nice build. Yep, I definitely agree. So let me go ahead and bring up their submission form, and let's go ahead and just find out some more details about this builder. All right, very cool. So see here, submission form. Okay. Not his first build, and it was not sponsored. Does the build have a theme? Rainbow baby. Okay. And then 3 words to describe the build is ROG is love. That's pretty cool. Does the build have a name? My little ROG. In terms of the core hardware, I was correct. Yeah, it's an ROG Strix Z690 board. Then he has an ROG Strix 3080 Ti OC card, 64 gigabytes of DDR5 memory. And that's where, like I said, better to be going with a 232 gigabytes. If you wanted to really have 64 gigabytes, that would be my recommendation. But this is fine. Just for if you're wondering, realistically, most memory controllers are probably going to be limited to about probably in this type of configuration, probably 5200 MT, maybe up to about 5600 MT. Very good quality IMCs, but a smaller percentage of them could hit about 6000 MT in a 4-DIMM configuration, while probably over 85% can all hit 6000 MT in a 2-DIMM configuration. So just for kind of reference there. Then 12th gen series CPU, and then of course he has the Lanli of course, uni fans that are in there. The budget of the build altogether, everything put in, and I'm assuming this accounts for not only the chassis, but all the customizations, the screen, all the little add-ons. It's about $6,500 to $7,000. What was he most proud of in the build? All of it, just the way that it turned out. Is there anything that he would change about the build? Yes, he's considering maybe doing custom water cooling. Definitely. You know, I don't know if it's justified, right? I mean, you're going to have very good cooling. The experiences are really, really great. So you're not really gaining performance, but, you know, the aesthetic is definitely really cool from custom liquid cooling. So it just really kind of comes down to, you know, what you're looking for, right? Took him about 2 days to put together the system. He predominantly uses the system for gaming, so Warzone, God of War, and Dota 2. And his favorite feature is Armory Crate. He loves actually having a one-stop shop to be able to access his overclocking, fan controls, and RGB lighting and control for his system. So overall, man, thumbs up. Nice build, clean and well executed. All right, very, very cool. And Jordan gives us a shout out right here. It looks great. Ace Jeep, hey, nice to see you right there. Says nice build. AK Bar says use a vertical riser. I'm going to disagree. I'm fan of Team Horizontal, not Team Vertical. I think Team Vertical can look pretty cool. I mean, you see right here, I'm showing up the GPU in that way, but you'd miss out on that really nice light bar. And then sometimes I think it takes away from some of the idea of having some depth and contrast. It just really kind of depends. I mean, we do design our cards to have a good design vertically and horizontally, but you know, it really comes down, I think, to the user. So different people have different preferences, right? In terms of the overall kind of look and feel. Plus, you would run a little bit of a challenge here with having the stat panel, how we would accommodate having the vertical kind of card positioned, right? Because then you have to figure out where you're going to put that stat panel too, right? But let's go ahead and get ready to take a look at our second PC DIY Builder Spotlight here. All right. So give me a second here. And we will go into our second build. All right. Second build is going to be, who's our second builder? This is going to be from Diego Torres. All right. Or Warlock CR, Gypsy Danger. All right. This one actually is a pretty cool build too. They're all cool. You know, so many of what you guys submit here in the community are really cool. So I'm always excited to be able to show them off. So let's go ahead and take a look here at Gypsy Danger. All right. Ooh, interesting. Okay. So let me go ahead and sorry, let me just see if I can frame that up there. Okay. This is pretty cool. So here again, we've got RGB lighting off. We've got Fantex chassis right here. Fantex, one of my favorite partners that we have out there. I love their layout and their chassis. Their overall usability is on point. A lot of nice flexibility in terms of the layout. So here I can tell you this is an AMD-based setup. Here you can see, actually, they've hit this kind of balance of really trying to probably maximize their budget because you can tell they went with a little bit more of an entry board right here. So this is like an ROG Strix. Probably it looks like a B450 series board. Then they got the standard kind of Wraith cooler in there, but then they spent their money. They got a really nice ROG Strix-based graphics card, nice solid chassis. They've got their cables in there. They populated up the memory. You can tell that they're going to have some definite RGB lighting here with using the flexible, of course, cable in there. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like here. All right. I will say thumbs up on really nice, clean, good cable management here. Nothing to kind of criticize. It's all really nicely laid out, really cleanly done here. So nothing is obstructing. Nothing's kind of, you know, impacting each other in terms of usability and layout. Cable management right here, really nicely done too. And of course, that helps with the chassis design here from Fantex. Oh, and here we go. All right. So we can see what is actually really at the heart of this system. So this person actually is really doing a lot of racing. So I'm a big fan of Forza, Asphalt, stuff like that. Burnout, Need for Speed. So this is pretty cool. I really like seeing this kind of little setup. So you can see he's got a dedicated racing wheel right here. He's also got his controller. He's got his mouse. Of course, got his headset, and then he's got his system right here, and the RGB lighting is on. Digging, of course, the wallpaper there with the RGB wallpapers. Gets a little props there for some Dungeons and Dragons, and also, of course, a little Star Wars right there. Some Gears of War also there too. And overall, this is nice. I like actually, so, I like sometimes purposed color schemes, but definitely I think sometimes rainbow, it can definitely hit. And here, actually, I like it. I like the way that the actual rainbow plays out. It's got a nice kind of multicolored pattern right there that plays out really nice, cleanly, nice, bright illumination. The nice thing with these Phanteks strips is that they're ready to diffuse, so you don't see any hard LEDs, which is nice. So it just gives it this cool kind of just little secondary lighting effect, which is nice. And overall, you can see right here how clean it is, right? Just a nice little accent line, which is cool. Helps to kind of just brighten it up, give it a little bit of a different vibe. You got that nice RGB light bar that we have on the card. And then you've got, of course, the RGB lighting there for the M.2 and also for the SSD. And the good thing is those are all fully controllable with ASUS Armory Crate. They're all able to be detected and controlled. Overall clean, nicely done. I like it, man. It's a cool looking build. Now, oh, it's cool. This is even the ROG certified XPG memory. That's pretty rare. I think that's the only active manufacturer right now that has an ROG certified memory kit. And if you're wondering what that is the ROG certified kit. When it gets installed on an ROG certified motherboard, it will automatically enable the profile. So you actually don't even have to do any type of XMP enabling. It'll actually automatically enable a profile. Overall, cool build. I definitely dig it. Clean, well executed, bright, and fun. It's got a cool, nice design layout. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the submission form. So this is going to be from Diego, Warlock CR. And let's see here. Does the build have a theme? It's a personal build. I put the Gears video game logo on the front via a 3D printing. That's pretty cool. 3 words to describe his build. It would be beautiful, in dreams, and glorious. Does the build have a name? Gypsy Danger. In terms of the motherboard, I was right. It's an ROG Strix B450-F Gaming 2, and then an ROG Strix 3060 Ti graphics card. He's got 4 DIMMs in there, right? The ADATA Spectrix D50 RG certified memory, so that's 3600 MT, and then a 5600X in terms of the processor, and then one M.2 based SSD, so that's 256 gigs right there, and then another one that's a 1 terabyte. They're both the Spectrix S40G model, and then he's got a 700-watt power supply powering the system. He spent about $2,000 roughly in terms of the overall budget. That doesn't count the monitor and his peripherals. What is he most proud of? It cost me a lot to get the video card. They were super sold out at the time, and the addition of the ADATA RG certified RAM is really beautiful. And I think it's a really cool looking set of DIMMs. It's actually cool. They're a little bit hard to get. You can't really get them that easily. And definitely depending on when he maybe put together the system, it might have still been when maybe the GPU availability was still constrained. So definitely I can appreciate him waiting out and being patient to be able to get an RG Strix card. So that's pretty cool. Anything they would change about the build, maybe swap out the stock cooler, change it out to a liquid AIO, right? And then also maybe look to upgrade the power supplies. He's always wanted to be able to have an actual ROG Thor power supply to be able to show off there in that bottom PSU cavity, right? How long did it take him to put together the system? It was a long process. I had been renewing it a few times over the period of the last 3 years, right? So it makes sense that he's kind of been staggering it up over time as he can kind of get money together probably. But in December 2021 is where I changed the motherboard, processor, RAM, and the video card. So he finally kind of really committed to this new system. So what he's used it for, it's mainly used for entertainment. He plays a lot of games like Call of Duty, Battlefield. He likes vehicle games. That's why he has a steering wheel. So he plays a lot of American Truck. And then NFS, ASUS Corsa, Competition, right? Grid, adventure games like Tomb Raider, God of War, a lot of different types of games. His favorite features from ASUS side, he actually is a big fan of Game First. I think that's one of the first people that's talked about Game First. That's our packet priority software. Sonic Suite, which is our audio suite to be able to customize the audio experience on your system, comes with our motherboards. And then he's a big fan of the ASUS UEFI BIOS environment for tweaking and tuning. Overall, man, it's a cool build. Definitely thumbs up. I think you did a solid job. Let's see. Kindichi says that he likes the routing of the diffused LEDs. Paskowitz says a Vexor ROG certified DDR4 was really nice. Wish we would get more ROG ID RAM. Yeah, maybe in the future. I agree that Vexor memory was really nice. Let's see. Master says very nice build. A lot of work went into hunting for the right parts on this. Looks pretty good. Yep, I would definitely agree. And Brandy giving it a nice heart. Thank you so much, Brandy. And Brandy, I think we'll be reaching back out to you in a little bit. We haven't had some of the actually winners contact us, but we're still going to be rolling forward on the winners that have already confirmed with us for our DDR5 Micron giveaway that we recently completed. So that's pretty cool. HGO computers, I like that. I'm trying to win them over on the vertical mounts. Never. We'll see. I'll give you a chance. I don't mind them, actually. I don't mind them. I think that we've actually had plenty of builds where I've really loved the vertical mount implementation. I think it's all about just the thematic composition, right? If the theme and the build lends itself to a vertical mount, then I've got no problems with it. But overall, from an end user experience in terms of just fit, finish, and usability, I think it's always easier to go horizontally. And I think we always also try to design the cards really nicely in a horizontal profile. And last but not least, as GPUs also get bigger, you also sometimes have more of a challenge with going with a vertical base mount design. So unless you're going water cooling, which I know with HO computers, you're going water cooling, right? It can also be a little bit more problematic to account on how easily you can actually vertically mount the graphics card. So that also becomes a little bit of a challenge too. All right. Oh, all right. Ooh, next one. We're going to ROGxEANGELION. So you guys have seen over the last few weeks, we've had the opportunity to show off some awesome builds here that have been ROGxEANGELION. And we've got another one coming up right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this guy. This is going to be from James George. And this build is called EVA Unit 01. I'm digging it. All right, let's see what we've got going on right here with this build. All right, let me see right here. Aaron Taylor's asking, is there a release date for the PG27AQN yet? Been waiting forever. You still got a bit more to wait. If you're not part of our PC DIY group, rest assured that we actually do announcements for all products that get released, as well as we cover them weekly here on the PC DIY live stream in a consolidated format throughout that week, right? But this one is going to probably still be maybe very late Q3. So it is still a little bit away. And for some people are wondering about this, is going to be our ultra high refresh rate, 360 hertz, 1440p base monitor, but it's still a bit away, Aaron. So in the not too distant future, rest assured that when we get ready to launch it and we have hard availability information, we're gonna have a lot more information. We'll probably even have a dedicated live stream just on that monitor when we bring it to market. All right, so let's get ready to go ahead and take a look at this system. So, all right, right off the bat, we can see, of course, we've got the chassis. Oh, right there. Look at it. It's telling you what it is. All right. Let's keep going along. Oh, there we go. I already had another photo. I didn't need to zoom in, but it's all good. I love just that little subtle, of course, decal, just to let you know what's kind of going on right there, right? So let's go ahead and keep moving it on. Ooh, okay. I'm actually liking this. So it's very compact. You know, we're going for tight, efficient use of space, but we can already see the really nice hardware that's on display right here. So we've got the ROGxEANGELION card, we've got the Maximus Evangelion base board, we've got the Ryogen 2, we got some Dominator plats in there, and then we've got some nice custom cables in there to be able to bring the theme together with that purple and that green. It's looking good. And then look at that. It looks like we've even got a wing wall in there, which is pretty cool. And then we can see some subtle kind of customization right here. So let's go ahead and take it up a notch because it's not lit up yet, right? All right. Let's go ahead and keep taking a look right here. We can see, yeah, here's the wing wall. So this is actually our bracket, our GPU support bracket he's installed there to give it just a little bit of flair. I do like that he did go with the horizontal mount, because on this card, it has a really cool kind of design that we implemented for the actual RGB when it's illuminated, right? And here, of course, you have just the off state for the lighting, which is active, which is pretty slick, right? So overall, though, clean and well executed. The cables are nicely packed in there, and this is a lot to smash into this chassis, right? So it's well done. Now we can see here, now it's actually the system has come on, and we're bringing in a little bit of that purple kind of colorway, which is really nice. And I'm now starting to really dig this. I love the color symmetry that we have going on right here. So this is a really nice just aesthetic. And then you can see this pops right there. So like the way this kind of comes out right there. So this kind of just gives it just a little bit more of kind of an accent. And then of course, you can see the change up in the color. And now we've got, of course, the custom GIF that's been loaded in there for the Ryujin 2, which is pretty cool. H2O computers, try saying wing wall 5 times. I think I'm okay. Maybe if I can span out 5 times throughout the course of the stream. So there we can see now we've gone ahead and brought it back out a little bit more in terms of the overall color, and pretty cool. So this is cool. I like here he's getting this kind of cool little glow vibe, and then you can see Nerve Oli. So he's gotten a little bit more customization right here to bring through the Evangelion based theme. You've got then the wing wall that's right there, the really cool pattern that we have on the GPU, and then this nice little purple accenting. And I think actually not having any RGB right here for the AIO and for the rear fan works, because it's allowing us to really focus in on those bright parts and not oversaturate it with color, right? An interesting way could have also been maybe to do a fan grill, so an RGB grill, and just add a little bit of accent lighting, but not have the whole fan blade be lit up. And that could have been maybe an interesting way to just give you a little bit of pop to bring the continuity of the lighting over, but without having it feel super heavy, by actually having RGB fans and then maybe pulling away from a little bit of the ambience. But overall, I dig this. Azeep says, I like the holder. How much is it? I'd have to check. This one's more expensive than the Herculex. The wing wall is more expensive because it's metal and it comes with multiple plates to allow you to customize it. So you have different types of designs on it. I'll check to see if I can check on the pricing on it in a little bit. Oh, cool. He gave us a video right here. So let's just see the little video. And then you can see actually kind of they're lit up in effect. That's a really cool little animation. It's I'll set up right there. That's a cool build. I love that. And there you can, of course, see taking advantage of the GIF that is present within the Ryujin, right? Taking advantage of that 3.5-inch display, right? Overall, very, very cool. H2O, I think that is correct. I think it should be $69.99 is what the MSRP should be, but I wasn't just 100% sure on that since we released it, but I believe it should be $69.99. $20 deltas from the Herculex sounds correct. All right, so let's go ahead and bring up his submission form, and let me see here where I want to leave it. Let's go with, I think I'll leave it right there. I think that's pretty cool. So let's give me 1 second here to bring up his submission form. Okay, got his submission form right here. So let's see. So this is from James George, and not his first build. Does the build have a theme? The build was entirely inspired by a recent ROG Evangelion collaboration with ASUS. The backbone of the build is the 2 ASUS EVA-based components, so the motherboard and the graphics card. The rest of the build is primarily ASUS ROG components modified to reflect the Evangelion-based theme. 3 words to describe the build would be modern, dynamic, and robotic. Definitely, I can agree with that. Does the build have a name? Yes, EVA Unit 01. In terms of the hardware, we've got a 12700K in there, an RTX 3080 EVA Edition, and then, of course, the Maximus Z690 EVA Edition board. He's got 2 sticks of memory in there, so that's 16 gigabytes, so 32 gigabytes total, but Dominator Platinum 5200 MT memory. 1 terabyte M.2 base SSD, 6 Noctua fans that are in there, 4 slim, and then 3 standard 25 millimeter. The Ryujin 240, and then the wing wall GPU support bracket, and that's all inside of a Corsair 220T chassis. What was he most proud of? As I enjoyed the 3 color profiles of the PC, the white and the gray exterior to match the rest of the office, the green and purple interior when the PC is running, and the red battery depleted state of the PC switches to when it enters sleep or shutdown. While powered on, the Ryujin has a looped GIF of the Unit 01 running. When it enters sleep mode, the GIF changes to a loop GIF of the battery depletion warning. I really like that. That's a really cool kind of just nice attention to detail in terms of customization. Is there anything you would change about the build? In retrospect, I would have gotten a case with a black interior and white exterior, as well as a case with a bit more room to fit a 360-degree radiator and non-slim fans. As such, I would likely go with the Meshify 2 Compact if I were to redo the build. How long did it take him? It took him about 3 hours. He does it predominantly for gaming, so Destiny 2, Cyberpunk, and League of Legends. And his favorite function feature has got to be the screen on the Ryujin 2. It's fantastic. I love the size and the aspect ratio. It's much more suitable for most GIFs compared to most common circular screens used on some AIOs. And I would definitely agree. It really fits the kind of the GIF format, where circular ones sometimes aren't always ideal. You kind of got to play around with them a little bit to make them work, right? Which is kind of what we had. We had Team Circular with the Ryu and then Team Square with the Ryujin. Although with the Ryujin, keep in mind, you can turn this vertical or horizontal. So it's up to you in terms of how you want to configure it. All right, that's a very cool build too. Let me see right there. This is out of topic, but where to get what looks like a transparent PC case on your desk? Oh, this one you can't get anymore. It's from a company that used to exist called Danger Den, and they don't manufacture them anymore. So I don't know if there's anybody making anything that's clear that I've readily seen. So I can't tell you actually where you could probably get one. You might be able to find something maybe like on Alibaba or AliExpress. There's a lot, I think, more specialized type of like designs like this that you can find in the Asian market. So that might be a place that you maybe want to try to look at and see if you can find something that might be transparent like that. Okay. AZ Jeep, got it. Thanks so much for clarifying that. Okay, very cool. All right. Gabrielle says, I freaking love the colors on this collab. So yeah, I would definitely agree. Really cool. So HO Computer says, I'm liking this one. The small case really does something different for the hardware aesthetics. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, sometimes just having that kind of compact feel, it just changes up the dynamic. And, I definitely think that builders that have built in a lot of systems can always appreciate the challenge of when you go with a bigger chassis, it's really hard to also make sure that everything feels really well balanced throughout the entirety of the build, right? All right, we're getting ready to we still got a couple builds here, but we're going to be wrapping up shortly. Let's go ahead and get ready and go into our next builder, which is going to be from Mario Osuna. So let's go ahead and take a look right here. All right, so this is going to be Mamalona. All right, and let's go ahead and see what we got here. Now, this is a pretty... we're going to take it up a notch in terms, if you guys are Team RGB, let me know. I want to drop the comments right now. Let me know, are you Team RGB? Because we're about to see what is going on when it comes to the RGB here for this system. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Ooh, all right. So this is definitely taking it up a notch when we talk about the RGB for the system, but I will give credit where credit's due right here. This is actually, I think, well done. It's bold, it's bright, but they've used the actual overall space in the environment, I think, really well. And the important part here is that we have a customized, I think, theme. This is not just pure rainbow. There's actually some patterning that's gone on here, which actually gives it a nice color symmetry to it, which is cool. It's dynamic, it's fun, it's vibrant. And there's also even some playfulness to go with the actual routing that we're going to see here with the tubing that I think also is kind of complementary, because we're getting a little bit of reflection and refraction to the actual RGB lighting that's going on in the system. So Erica right here is throwing out, she says, Team RGB, yes, please. That's pretty cool. HO Computers is let's see, HO is going to sing, my eyes, the horror. I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool. I like the way it turns out. Even normally where I prefer diffused RGB strips, I think actually the exposed LED actually works with this build. Literally seeing the RGB LEDs, it's kind of part of the experience of this build. And overall, I give a lot of credit that it's laid out pretty well. So here, I always ask if they can include a secondary alternate. I'm a big fan of sometimes just singular colors, and the red is really cool. It's just this bold, bright, kind of warm, powerful kind of color. And you've got that lighting in the background that's taking away a little bit from it. If it was all black, it would even look a little bit more intense, which would be kind of cool. So I'd love to see, what is your guys' thoughts right here? Do you like the red, or do you like the RGB? Which one would you go with? RGB or the single color? So let me know your thoughts right here. But that's the cool thing, of course, with RGB is you can entirely customize it. It's all, up to you. You just go in and customize it in the software, right? So it's cool in terms of that regard. So let's go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look right here. We can see that we've got Maximus board in there set up. We got nice kind of cool, interesting runs right here, which give a little bit of customization. This is pretty interesting. It looks like we have a cover specifically covering kind of the memory on the board, which is cool. You've added in a secondary accent right here with a secondary screen. We've got the GPU in a horizontal. I think there's actually two different flow meters that we have on here. So actually here's a flow meter, and here's another one actually letting us know on temperature for the actual loop, right? So there's some cool little addition right there. Got the streamer cables, of course, all set up in there and being showcased. And I like also just the flexibility of doing something different with the runs. You know, in this type of chassis, you couldn't easily integrate into a distro. So it's cool to be able to see the approach at how you're going to actually lay out your runs. And I think you've played out with the volume of the chassis, which works well too. So some credit where credit's due there, because it can be challenging working in a chassis this big and kind of feeling like you're using the whole space and not have like these voids or these pockets that are kind of empty. I like the red, and I even like it with a little bit of the white too, which kind of gives it this little bit of this contrast, right, to where it gives you a little bit of that kind of like color blocking effect almost, right? So that's kind of interesting. Oh, okay. Here we got a little bit of video and animation right there to show you what they got going on in terms of the actual pump head. Oh, a little bit more. Oh, now, okay. So there's the third vote, guys. So what do you guys think? Were you a fan of the RGB, the red, right? Or that white? The white was looking really good, but that red was pretty cool too. So I don't know. Those are all three were pretty cool. I mean, they're all, I think, cool aesthetics there, and a cool little video that Mario went ahead and threw in here. So overall, very cool. I guess you guys can go ahead and check them out there, right? But let's go ahead and let's take a look at that one more time. Let's see right here as we pull out. Yeah, I would agree. H2O Computers makes a really good point. The guy's video, it's one of the hardest things in terms of showing red. Red is the least favorite, at least, excuse me, it's one of the most challenging colors to show off. It usually looks much better in person, where right here, the red might look a little bit kind of desaturated, but red, it looks really good, I think, in person. But I really like this white that plays out right here with the white and then a little bit of that black, and then even a little bit of this RGB kind of color playing around there in the back, I think is pretty cool. The red, I think, looks really cool too, though. I like how the little subtle explosion effects that are also in there and kind of waved in. And then lastly, I think whoever said Vegas, right? Definitely this would, it's like if you saw this on a Vegas showwave display, right, it would work, right? And then, of course, I think lastly, we can go back to the original, right? The party show right there, right? So overall, it's a cool build, though. A lot of work that's gone in here. So let me go ahead and bring up the submission form, see what we got here. So this is, again, for Mario. Does the build have a theme? ASUS and ROG, 3 words to actually describe the build. Performance under 0. And the name of the system, gone ahead and noted that there, right? So this is based on the ROG C690 Apex, 12900K, 6000 MT memory. So there's 2 DIMMs that are in there, an RTX 3090, 850 watt power supply, and then pretty much all TT, so Thermaltake parts for the custom fittings, quad ring fans, 120 and 140, and that's all inside of a Core P8 TG, LAN streamer cables, and then XPG cables. So he's actually got the streamer cables for the GPU, and then the XPG cables for the 24 pin. So in case you guys are wondering about here, this is XPG and this is streamer. Okay, about $8,000 for the total build. What aspect he's most proud of is the LCD CPU block and RAM. So that's, of course, if we can go a little bit over here, here's what he's talking about, is this little kind of customization element right there. Is there anything he would change about the build? Color on the liquid. You can see right here, he's got a little bit, I don't know if it's like a mystic fog or I don't know. It's like kind of like it's an interesting, it's not a straight coolant. I can tell that for sure. So I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool. I think it works with it, but it would be interesting to see. I could see it though, if maybe you would have gone with like an opaque white, could actually been kind of cool, because a white, even if you would have changed all the colors, would have give you a focal kind of certainty to compare and contrast. As you change any of those other colors, the white would have brought it home. So I think maybe if I would have done it, that could have been an interesting way to kind of give you a little bit different vibe. Took him about a week to put it together. He uses it for work, images, and rendering 3D gaming, including some PUBG, Warzone, and Battlefield. One of his favorite ASUS features or functions, he's a big fan of Armory Crate to be able to kind of monitor, tweak, and tune, manage his system, do his RGB customization and lighting. So overall, Factor Reality gives it a G's. Okay, slot machine, put in the corner and pulls the handle. Master Century says the white changes everything and it looks amazing, right? That just goes to show you how kind of interesting it'd be. H2O Computer says he also really, really likes the white. He goes, I'm here for the party. Let's see. Jordan says, my brain cannot choose, I'm assuming which one, but I'll choose a mixture of the red and the white. I definitely agree with you. Miguel really likes the white, and Sumin gives it an oh yeah, right? Okay, very, very cool. Overall, though, I think it's a very cool build, and thumbs up to Mario, man. I really like it, and there's a lot of work that went into the system, man, and thanks for being Team Maximus. Fantastic build. I'd love to know, man, what was your ASUS AISC numbers on this water-cooled setup? It'd be pretty cool to know what kind of clock speeds you were getting out of it, right? Ooh, maybe frosted. That could be kind of cool. That could be kind of interesting for sure. All right. So let's go ahead and we still got last couple of ones right here. So we're running a little bit over, but I want to try to get these finished up right here. Peter Johnson is going to be Peter Johnson Lim, the Armageddon gaming rig. Okay. Oh, and this is with the GT501. Cool. Very cool. This is I'm always a fan of seeing of what kind of people do with the GT501. So let's go ahead and bring it here. Definitely we're going to a little bit more of a simple system, but I'm always a fan too to kind of see what we've got in terms of the landscape of the build. So this is the white GT501. It's not modded or anything. It comes in white, which is it's kind of cool. So you can see exterior right there. And then here we've gone with a Prime Series motherboard in white, and then we've got an ROG Strix LC cooler, which I can tell is in there, and then he's got a Tough Gaming graphics card, so he's got a nice kind of light white and black combination that's going on right there, so that's cool. And that's all with RGB lighting off. Very clean in terms of all the cable routing and management. Nothing to complain on there. Layout looks nice, clean, just well done. And then now we have a little bit of lighting. And overall, nice, clean, well executed. Nothing to complain about here. I really like the overall layout. It's nicely done. I like this actually kind of a little bit of this two-tone approach. I'm a little bit split on whether or not I would have gone with this kind of green and this kind of gradient right here with the kind of the purple. But they both play against with the white, which I think is kind of interesting. So I don't have any issues with that. But I'm wondering, but I think he included a different color scheme in right here. So then we got with the green and blue. This one I'm feeling maybe a little bit more, but I do really like the purple because I think the purple goes really well with the white, but they give you a different feeling, right? The purple's a little bit warmer, and then this is going to be a little bit cooler, right? So they give you almost a little bit of a different vibe, right? This one actually might be my favorite, though. I think that I like here the purple with then even a little bit of that orange in there. I think this is a nice little color symmetry. I do think I would have probably, though, maybe added in I don't know if you need to go with an RGB fan, but maybe with an RGB frame right there. And you could maybe even have done with a little bit of spotlight here just to give it a little bit of feel from the bottom. I think that might have helped just a little bit, but of course this probably looks a little bit bolder in the nighttime when you don't have any lighting in the back, right? So if you don't want to go crazy, it's still nice, clean, well executed, and it's a good layout. It's definitely, I think, a nice build, and it's actually probably pretty similar to something that I would have probably put together. I just probably would have tweaked a little bit of the lighting, and I think I probably would have gone with a little bit of a backfill light right there. But overall, man, thumbs up, clean and well executed, nothing to negate on you there. Let's go ahead and take a look here and see what we've got. So this is from Peter Johnson, and this was actually Peter's first build. So man, let's give him a thumbs up. Kudos, nice job, man, in terms of finished build. Clean, well managed for a first build, nothing obstructed, well laid out. So definitely I want to give you props there because it's a well executed first build. Does the build have a theme? All ASUS parts were pretty much used with the latest DDR5 while he was on a little bit of a lower budget. So that's also in with the Prime board, but Prime board is still a great board. I mean, keep in mind, I showed you could still do 6400 on here. It still has ASUS AISC, still very solid VRM, you know, still a really nice board. You know, without kind of going into the ROG Strix territory. Plus, it's great looking because it's white too, right? 3 words to describe the build: bang for the buck. And then Armageddon gaming rig. In terms of the core hardware, we've got a Tough Gaming 3060 Ti, a Z690-A, GT501, 850 watt power supply. He's got the ROG Strix 850 watt white power supply. Then an ROG Strix LC240 white AIO. Then he's got SaberNet 2 terabyte rocket along with that 12700K, which is on that Z690A board. And then he's got 2 DIMMs running at 5600 MT. That's the nice configuration I like to see. 2 DIMMs focused at a nice kind of 5600 MT. It's a nice sweet spot. About $3,000 overall for the total price of the build. And what was he most proud of is that the Intel 12 Gen 12700K, the 32 gigabytes of DDR5, and then the RTX 3060. So he's just really happy to have that nice kind of combination. It's a very nice gaming system in terms of the overall performance. If there's anything that he would like to change, if he could get a 3090 Ti, he'd love to put one in there. How long did it take him to put together the whole system in terms of, I'm assuming, probably saving and everything else like that? About 5 months. He uses it for gaming and streaming, Lost Ark, Diablo 2, Call of Duty, Diablo 3, and Valorant. And his favorite function or feature is the ASUS ROG products are built for longevity and the performance and quality. Now, overall, great job on your first build. You get a serious thumbs up from me, and thanks for submitting it. It's great to be able to go ahead and have it here on the stream. We got a nice job right here. Don't see many builds in the GT501. Yeah, I would say I've seen more in the past, but I definitely say as we've seen the trend to like the 011s, it's become a little bit less present. Clean, nice build. Good first build as well, and solid parts list, right? And Master Sentry, wow, awesome, great for a first build. Overall, man, yep, definite thumbs up from me. Okay, so let's go. I think we've got 2 last builds, and we're going to be rounding them out with some seriously awesome builds here. So let's go ahead and get ready to take it up a notch as we get ready to go ahead and round things out right here. We've got one contrast going from a tough gaming GT501 to, I think, a Helios, and then we're going to be wrapping it up with an AK mod based build. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here at 7, and this is going to be from Alex Hernandez. And so I think the 7 might be a little bit of throwback to 7, which is one of the characters in the ROG worldview, which is pretty cool. And we can see we've got his whole gaming setup here on display. So you can see he's actually got the upsells right here from the IKEA and ROG collaboration. He's got his actual router that's up right there. He's got his ROG Delta headset. He's got the throne. He's got the cup. He's got a flare, and that looks like a chakram, and then that's also on the sheath. Of course, he's got his monitor. It's pretty much an all ROG setup. So I'm going to not have anything to negate here. It's clean. It all ties together, and it's nicely done. Packed there into the corner. It's a cool setup. And again, I also like how this person didn't put anything here in the front for the Helios, right? Because you allow to have that Myron pattern come through. You can also see they've gone ahead and gone with the Herculex. I love the red and black. It's the classic ROG aesthetic, which is really cool. So I'm always a fan of being able to see that kind of come together and be able to kind of show off that really nice clean design. I probably would have taken off the sticker right there just to be able to have a little bit cleaner, but that's about the only thing that I'm going to negate right there. Oh, and he's even got an ROG Strix Go right here. So he's got an ROG Strix Go and he's got the ROG Delta. So he has both headsets right there. A little bit of a fuzzy shot right there, but nice and clean, well managed. Maybe you could go to like a bridge cable coming and maybe clean that up a little bit, but that's about the only thing. But this is nicely, cleanly laid out, routed, well managed. Of course, the Helios is easy to work in terms of a chassis, so no issues in that regard. And of course, we've got the Ryogen 2 in there. It looks great. And I love that he's got his flare, and then of course the chakram. It's nice, clean build and overall setup, man. It's definitely, you know, my vibe right here. Clean, simple, well executed, nice, well managed, and the overall layout's on point. It's great to be able to just get in, enjoy a nice, good-looking system, get into your gaming sessions, and be able to have a high-performance, quiet, you know, and good-looking system. And you can also, of course, easily change all of this up through the RGB lighting, right? Just pop in RGB crate. If you want to go blue, you want to go pink, you want to go purple, you want to go gradient, you could easily change up the field just by changing up the colors, which is really cool, right? So Brandy gives it a nice, I would definitely agree right there in terms of the overall feedback. So let's go ahead and bring up his submission form. Give me 1 second to go ahead and bring that form up. Okay, and let's go a little bit tighter right there. And let me see right here. Okay, so this is going to be from Alex. And let's see, does the build have a theme? just only ROG, which has been a long time since I think. So I think essentially, just to paraphrase what he said right there, is that it's only ROG, and I think he's been looking to be able to do this for a really long time, and he finally was able to get all the hardware together, and it's just been really satisfying, I think, to be able to bridge it all together and have that kind of consistency and the continuity of having to be all ROG, consistent in terms of the design, and then being able to bring it together with all the lighting. It's been really great. The theme is only red and black, also gray for a certain aesthetic to be able to provide a nice kind of base and contrast. I would definitely agree. This is definitely kind of the cornerstone of history of ROG when you have that red and black kind of monochrome aesthetic, right? 3 words to describe the build: best, powerful, and very cooling. I would agree. I mean, you've got a very performance-based system, high-end hardware, and I'm sure the cooling, you've got, of course, that ROG Strix cooling design and that Ryujin 2 taking care of you. So build have a name, 7. Core hardware, we've got the ROG Strix Z690-E, 12900K, 5600 MT memory. He's got 4x16. I would give the same feedback right there, even though he should be able to run that probably 5600 if he's got a good memory controller. Could possibly maybe have to drop it down, but just depends on the quality of the IMC. Plus losing a little bit of perf by, like I said, going with 4 versus 2, but that is what it is. He's got a Thor 1200 watt in there, 3 Samsung Evo Pro drives in there in terms of M.2 PCIe NVMe SSDs, a Ryujin 2, then an XG279Q monitor, and an ROG Strix 3090. Then also got the Chakram core and the AX3000, which he's actually using an AI mesh. So that means that he's got 2 AX3000s. That's going to be the router right there, which he's paired together. All together for, I think, all the hardware, everything that he has there is $7,000 due to certain parts were traceable from Amazon and whatnot and things along those lines. What was he most proud of? Successfully getting the parts that I wanted to make it fully ROG. Is there anything you would change about the build? Not much. Maybe it would have amazing if they could do a controller for Xbox and PlayStation with an ROG skin. I can't tell you too much, but maybe we might be doing something with the controller. So make sure to keep it tuned. All right. How long did it take you to build your system? At least an hour, since I have to understand the parts for the case and the shroud and everything like that. So that's great. If you got together the system in an hour, you would have beat me. I usually, in a nice build like this, I would probably at least take a couple of hours just to be able to manage and get everything kind of situated and what I'm looking for. Plus, I'm accounting for, cable management and the OS install. He uses it for gaming, rendering, programming, Apex, Halo Infinite, CSGO, Team Fortress, and Cold War. His favorite feature, actually game first again. Wow, that's actually cool. Again, that's actually one of the few people that have actually talked about the benefits of packet priority software. So very cool. All right, man. Get a definite thumbs up from me, man. Alex did a great job on the build. Specs, yeah, as we noted there, it was a 12th gen based system, Z690-E, and then all the hardware is ROG. So ROG Strix 3090, 64 gigs worth of memory, Ryujin 2 cooler, 1200 watt pace power supply. The Herculex is going to be the graphics card holder. This is the Helios GX601 chassis, right? And then pretty much all the corresponding hardware right there. I like that feedback. Yeah, not too much, not too little, just the right amount for the single light setup. All right, so let's get ready to go ahead and wrap this up with the last build that we've got right here from the one, the only AK Mod. One of the absolute best builders in the game, again, has just taken it to another level. There's these builders that when we get to feature them on the stream, they know when they bring it, I know that I'm just going to be, it's not how much I'm going to be blown away. It's just like, is it going to be 11? Is it going to be 12? Is it going to be 13? Where is it going to be on the kind of impressive scale? And AK Mod never disappoints, just brings a level of kind of finish, craftsmanship, ingenuity that is, really kind of at the forefront, right? There's, I think a select set of builders that really have a truly kind of creative perspective, an amazing kind of level of craftsmanship and experience to be able to put together these modded thematic tape builds. And it's always super cool to be able to see what AK brings to the table. So let's go ahead and take a look at this system. So this is going to be Warframe custom PC by AK Mod. So right off the bat, we can already see it doesn't look like anything that we would expect. It looks beautiful. And of course, if you guys are not familiar with Warframe, it's a game. So of course here he's gone ahead and take that kind of inspiration and brought that into the actual PC. And here we can see where form meets function in terms of the actual chassis, now enclosing all of that hardware inside of there. And it's absolutely stunning. This is an absolute just showcase. And I love just the fit and finish. Look at the material. The material has like a smoothness that almost feels like a kind of like a satin soft touch. It's actually similar to kind of the finish that we put on our latest generation Zenfone 9, or that we've put on certain products. And then, of course, what you're really looking at is all this beautiful detail, right? That looks fantastic, right? There's from top to finish, top to bottom, right? Just to be able to kind of see where all this kind of subtlety just goes in, and all the beauty of the work. This illuminated paddle, right? The overall armature that you have to be able to hold up the system. And then, of course, all of this has been fully customized and designed to be able to encapsulate all the hardware, which is just done so elegantly, right? It's just so clean and so well done in terms of the overall look and feel, right? So here's side profile. It just looks fantastic. You can start to see a little bit of what's going on there. It's like, okay, I think here's a power supply. You can see some of the cabling. You can see a little bit of lighting here from the graphics card and from some of the other components, right? But they actually feel organic. They feel kind of that they just exist in part of this system, right? They exist in this device, and they don't take away from it, right? So I really love this type of design, because literally you could just put it there and you wouldn't know this is a computer at all. Like, might feel like it's just like a cool little piece of artwork or a statue, or maybe like a prop from like a movie or something like that. But overall, it's just got a fantastic, really kind of design to it. And the execution, the fit and finish, like always with AK, it's just next level stuff, right? So Sumin gives us a little bit of a shout out there. A Show Computers picks the jaw up off the floor, right? Gets woozy from Michael right there. What is that? Wow, I would definitely agree. Yeah, this is just a stunner. It's just a stunner. And look at that front shot, just beautiful detailing. And just, again, look at all that beautiful work where you're just seeing that in the subtlety, right, of the printing that's gone through there at that really, really high quality, and the fit and finish to smooth everything out and make sure that it's sharp, it's clean, and so well defined. And then we can see on the other side, now we've got that nice little glow. You can actually see it looks like they're from the AIO, they're from the fans from the radiator, and that's all been laid in with the board, right? And then there's that one kind of just shot right there that I just think looks fantastic. Beautiful, just attention to detail, right, guys? So again, masterclass build from a masterclass builder. That's, the best that I can usually give in terms of my overall kind of feedback when I see these type of builds, because they really kind of almost defy kind of, I think kind of description, right? Because everybody's going to have their kind of relative way that they kind of interpret and look at these platforms. But I think a stunning kind of showpiece. And again, let's go ahead and take a look at the submission form here and see what we got going on here. So, of course, again, this is from AK Mod. If you guys are not following him, Facebook and Instagram, do so. You're just going to get, your feed with awesome, amazing stuff. Okay. And so this was a sponsored build, and let's see, does the build have a theme? It was game theme, of course, which was Warzone. 3 words to describe the build is giant, ornament, and sci-fi, which I would definitely agree. All 3 of those things. Does the build have a name? With the Warframe Zariman Custom PC. In terms of the core hardware that we have right here, this is, let's see, going to be, give me one second. Okay. Oh, cool. I think I have a video here too. It's a 12900KF, and that's actually on an ROG Strix B660i, so mini ITX based motherboard. And then he's got an ROG Strix 3070 based graphics card in there. And then he's running DDR5 from Zydac Spark RGB memory, 32 gigs. And then also a Zydac TWG4S PCIe NVMe SSD, 1 terabyte. Cooler Master SFX 850 watt power supply. The AIO is from Cooler Master, the Master Liquid 240 Illusion. And then a couple of different fans in terms of the Master fans, 120 Halos, all kind of put together in there. And in case anybody's wondering on the overall dimensions, it's 52 inches in terms of the height. The length is 43 inches and the width is 18 inches. Okay. $15,000 in terms of the build, and not all of that, of course, is the part cost, because here, while we're using some pretty high-end hardware, it's really a lot in the time, the effort, the craftsmanship, and the material to make this custom chassis, right? What aspect are you most proud of? Is to restore the reality of game entity, right? I would definitely agree. Nothing that they would, of course, change about the build. 45 days to be able to complete this build. It's being used at a showcase at the events at the Warframe TenkoCon 2022. He's overall just a big fan of ASUS in terms of the quality, the fit and finish of hardware. He's worked so much with us over the years to be able to do some amazing builds. And absolutely, it's a fantastic just build. And I think there's a video right here. So let me go ahead and see if I can pull this up right here and see what we can go ahead and bring up. So give me 1 second. Oh, yes. Okay, cool. Yep. Okay. So we do have actually a video here. So let's go ahead and see this little video so we can wrap up the stream. I love it. I love the editing too, right? You know, this is it's awesome too in terms of just helping to bring in right the game and then all the work that went in here. And of course, again, here you can see the fit, the finish, and just the overall just experience is beautiful. Yeah, 45 days, A-Show computer, I would definitely agree, right? But in some ways too, you know, I mean, it's impressive too, because you know, this is a, you know, as a builder yourself, I'm sure you can appreciate that, you know, you're not taking days off, so you can see kind of the amount of effort that's kind of going on that been put into that. Overall, man, that's an awesome build. It's a great way to be able to wrap up the stream. So that wraps up the PC DIY Builder Spotlight, guys, and that wraps up our stream for this week. So as always, if you guys are not part of the ASUS PC DIY group, make sure to go ahead and check us out in the ASUS PC DIY group. It's linked in the description. It's a great community to be able to find out about, you know, anything that you're wondering about the PC DIY experience, from upgrades to PC building to overclocking to modding to whatever it might be. We'd love to have you there in the group and the community. So with that, take care, take it easy, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy. If you're building, good luck. If you're upgrading, good luck. And if you're gaming, hopefully you have some quality wins. All right, guys, take care, take it easy, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good weekend. See you next week.